everyone. This is DJ Honeyflow. Welcome, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We're also, I believe, DJ Funklor's on his channel too. Anyone that's coming through to his channel, we're on this channel, DJ Honeyflow. So it's great seeing you guys. Thanks for joining us. If you're on Facebook and YouTube, make your way down to twitch.tv/DJ Honeyflow. We're going to have a great conversation. Man, this guy has opened up and worked with so many acts. Wow. And he's such a humble guy. So it's been interesting getting to know him. He's come to my show quite a few times, and really down to earth guy, which I absolutely love, because you guys know how hard it is in this industry to meet really just grounded, amazing individuals. And one thing that I loved about him, I was actually really surprised how many artists he's actually worked with. And I always find, I love meeting people that are so successful at what they do that they don't really need to showcase it, on the rooftop. And that's one thing that I really admire about people that are so successful and have worked with so many people in this industry. They let their work speak for themselves, which I love. So he's from the Bay Area, you guys, DJ Funklor. He's played with legendary acts. I had to post this because it's so many people. Lenny Kravitz, Drake, from my home city, the T-Dot, the Six, we call it here, Toronto. For all you guys out of town, it's Toronto. But yeah, so, Drake from my home city, Erykah, Badu, Jamiroquai. I always get his name wrong, but you know who he is. Snoop Dogg, Jill Scott, Nas, Frank Ocean, Lauryn Hill, Ice Cube, Damon Marley, Seal, George Clinton, The Roots, Steel Pulse, Ben Harper, Smokey Robinson. This guy has traveled all around the world, New York, Paris, London, the Netherlands, Maui, Las Vegas, Boston, LA. He's also worked with Dave Chappelle too on some of his shows, and the list goes on with his bio. But we're going to talk about all this. Enough talking from me. We're going to bring in DJ Funklor, and I'm really excited to hear his experience. And I'm also wearing, the artist that he performed with. So Lauryn Hill, we're gonna get some real tea on Lauryn Hill and some of the artists too. So let's bring in DJ Funklor. Hey, how you doing?
That intro was a lot. I appreciate you. For some reason, I'm locked out of the chat on streams, but on yours I can. So just quickly, I want to shout out Lisa the X. I want to give a huge shout out to my homie since the 5th grade, Jay Valencia, my new fam, Tony Smith, Retro Soul came through, Candy B came through, and I wouldn't be on this platform here speaking with you without all of their support. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, great seeing you guys. Lisa the X, hope you're doing well and your shows are going well for you. Retro Soul, sports fan we got in the building, living like golden.
Oh, Hobbs. She has a dinner date tonight. She's got a hot dinner date.
Ooh, that sounds spicy. Like an actual date? IL2 date?
I'm just teasing.
Oh, okay. Great to see you.
Me and Hobbs go back and forth. I love her.
Yeah, she's very sweet. DJ Candy B. I think you look new.
She's going to be on your show soon.
Sure. Hey, I'm game. Definitely game for that.
Candy's OGGG.
Oh, is she? Awesome. And I always get overly excited when I see more female DJs too, like a little too excited. So a little fangirlish. We got DJ J Valencia, is it?
Good to see you. That's my man since 5th grade.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Retro Soul.
He'll be in the origin story part of today's
awesome. Oh man. So are you originally from the Bay Area? Like whereabouts?
Yeah, born on Geary Boulevard at Kaiser Hospital in San Francisco, early December 1970. So I'm an old man.
Oh wow. Geez. Have you well, I know you've traveled. Have you left the area?
Yeah, here and there. Really, I mean, the Bay Area has been my home my entire life, with the exception of an 8-month live abroad in Holland, in Amsterdam, and I'll share that when we kind of get to that portion. It's a big chapter, but it didn't happen until much later in my life.
Wow, that's amazing. So when did you originally? I was trying to look for that. Do you guys hear any feedback? I'm actually hearing my voice through something else. trying to get that fixed. Let's see here. I'm not sure where it's coming from. I'm
I was
here.
deferring to you on the tech stuff.
I know, I know. Now I'm
Our brother
uh,
G class helped me out today too. So yeah.
now I'm trying to figure out. Can you guys oh, you said you're a tad louder than Josh. Okay, let me turn this down. Is that if I turn this down, guys? Let me know.
You sound
All
great
right,
to me.
sounds good. Yeah, let me know if you guys are hearing my voice double. I'm trying to get rid of that right now, or if it's okay right now. So, when did you actually like get into music? How many years ago was it for you?
Four score and no. I checked out some of your previous interviews because I wanted to know a little of what to expect. So my origin story as a 70s baby is not a lot different than some of your other guests. So my parents' record collection was not vast. However, there were a couple of albums and artists that I just would, I don't know if they were playing them or I pulled them out, but I mean records were in a section of our living room. And so the three that I remember specifically were two of them were jazz. It was Ahmad Jamal, it was Jerry Mulligan, and then there was a Peter Tosh reggae album. And it's funny because I was trying to recall, were those my mother's records? Were those my father's records? I don't know. I know that the Peter Tosh was definitely my dad's. And Boz Scaggs records were in there a lot. And so I mean, I can't pinpoint the exact age, but being a father now and watching my son just turn 10, my best guess is I was probably 7, 8,
Wow,
somewhere
when
in
you
there.
started? That's
Well, no,
crazy.
I didn't start. It was just having records and
Oh,
being
music.
drawn to records. And I mean, Tony Smith knows, and I know. Back, I was even sharing with my son Jordan yesterday. I mean, there was a television. There were 8 channels on the television. So
Mhm.
you got your entertainment other ways. There was no internet, there was no computer, there was nothing. So seeing albums and hearing them being played on a turntable in my home, it was just kind of an automatic, I don't want to say default, but choice. And then that kind of merged into when I started buying my own music. And I've heard a lot of people say this, so I'm not the only one. My origin story with buying my own records were soundtracks. So I bought the Grease soundtrack, I bought Saturday Night
Nice.
Fever soundtrack, and the Muppet movie soundtrack.
Nice. Do you
And
still
so
have them?
I wish, I really wish. We'll get into the weeping story of what happened to my record collection through the
Oh,
years. But
no.
well, no, it wasn't flood or fire. It was just coming into the digital age and being a mobile DJ. You had to have your records. It's not like where we are now, where you can have whatever in your library. And so I'll share that with everyone later. But so that's what I remember. And cassettes were huge. So we had vinyl, but we also would love getting cassettes because then you could take it with you. We had our boom box. I want to welcome in Miss Riz. I want to welcome in DJ Neek. Those are some of my new fam and friends here on Twitch. And so yeah, so I would pick up cassettes as well. So cassettes were huge, especially when we'd want to go places. You couldn't really obviously bring your records with you. Chewy, what's happening? Huge
How you
salute
guys
to Chewy
doing?
Gomez.
Thanks for coming in. DJ Neek 10. Make sure you guys are adding her, guys. One of the nicest, DJs for sure, I would say on
Everything
Twitch.
moving.
Very
Everything
sweet.
moving in your chat.
Make
Everything
sure you
moving in
guys
your chat.
Yes, so make sure you and for all those that are on DJ Funklor's channel, feel free to stay there if you like, but we are actually live on my channel under
You
DJ
can't stay
Honeyflow.
there. There's no
Make
audio on mine.
Oh. Oh, there isn't? Oh, there should be. I
No,
don't
don't
know.
worry about it. I
Oh,
directed everyone to you. We're good.
okay, no problem. Ms. Riz does an amazing show. Make sure you guys are adding her. I can't wait to check out DJ Candy B.
Oh
She's
yeah, you
something
can.
new to me.
Yeah.
Retro Soul does an amazing show. Like there's so many great people that do shows here. Lisa the X does, a mixologist show, which is pretty cool.
Brown
One of the
whiskey
few,
woman.
yes, one of the few on Twitch to do that, which is a real original show. So make sure you guys check everyone. And if I missed anyone, I apologize. But good to see all you guys. So yeah, that's really interesting. I'm looking in your background to see your vinyls. Everything looks so organized. Let's
No,
zoom in on to me, guys. Oh, I can't.
I threw them up real quick.
Really?
I was trying to think of, impactful moments. I mean, literally, I went into my old computer because I haven't transferred everything over. Not, I don't know, during the pandemic, I went through because Jordan wanted to know. My son Jordan is very music centric,
Hmm.
which I'm blessed for. And we were talking about different artists I've played for and when it was and where it was and all these different things. So during the pandemic, I wasn't on Twitch yet. I didn't even know Twitch was a thing. Unfortunately, I have huge FOMO as Riz and Tony and Neek know about that. I didn't get that whole gold rush pandemic Twitch world. I'm very new to it. But more to the point. So during the pandemic, I was like, you know what? Let me do the best I can to chronologically notate all the significant shows that I've done. So playing for artists and some of my musical heroes wasn't something that I always did. It happens to be one of my favorite things to do, but it was an earned prize much later that I'll share in a bit. But so, long story short, I went through and I logged everything that I either had a credential for, or a day sheet, or a paycheck, or a flyer, or whatever. And so I was looking at the list before I came on, and I was like, man, this list is pretty darn huge. Let me go ahead and just throw up a few that are of particular significance. So
Yeah, I had to blow you up right now because it just looks so organized and so
it's not.
well together. It
It's
does.
not. I was in
Does
my
it?
stream. I do a weekly stream Monday nights. I was looking for a record Monday night. Couldn't
Oh,
find it.
really?
Yeah,
How many records would you say that you
I
have?
have no idea. I don't. I
None.
used to have a ton. What you'll find, as Tony knows and Jay Valencia knows, moving sucks.
Mhm.
So when you are dealing with moving and your DJ Chewy Gomez, if he's still in here, he knows what's up with moving vinyl. It just, I mean, there's no nice way of saying it. It sucks. And so I had Stove Arelli.
How you doing, Stove?
Stove's
Chill.
my uncle, man. I wouldn't be on here without
Yeah,
Stove
he's a
and
great
DJ.
guy. He does such a great show too.
Yeah. So anyway, so my collection is less significant, quite a bit less significant than it was previously, but
Hmm.
it literally almost exclusively had to do with the ushering in of digital. I was actually a late adopter to digital. I was a late adopter to Serato, and I was kind of being a curmudge about it. I was like, well, my vinyl works. I love my vinyl. Even now, like I have a digital workstation over here, which is Candy B has one as well. It's like digital turntables, the best that we can get right now. They still aren't this. And every great victory that I'll share with you in our room tonight comes from practice here. Jay
Hmm.
Valencia, literally, like, so there were a group of us that all started together, and Jay Valencia, who's here right now, is one of them. My other brother, DJ Justin Johnson, is maybe lurking at work or will join us shortly. We would just spend hours, days, weeks, months here. So
Wow.
when the digital thing came in, I was like, well, what am I about to do with all these records? And so you
Hmm.
start trimming the fat. Like I didn't need, inside joke, Mary J. Blige 12 inches,
What?
or
How do you
or
not need Mary
or,
J.
or
Blige?
Janet 12 inches, or I mean,
What? You're
well, here's
killing
what
me, Janet Jackson.
no, I love these artists. I'm just saying. So, okay, Justin came in right on time. So, what it really meant was you started trimming back because, like, for example, I specifically remember, I'm so old, but I remember when
Mhm.
certain records would come out, and myself and DJ Malachi 510, we'd have to get them from the record pool. You couldn't even buy them yet. So, if you heard, and you're from the radio background, so so if you
Mhm.
hear a record that was getting broke, like I remember when Donnell Jones with Left Eye, You Know What's Up came out. And I
Oh man.
remember when Eric Sermon with Marvin Gaye's Music came out. Just
Yes.
certain, like Janelle's Round and Round, like certain records that came out that you would feverishly go to get because I'm at the club in that era. And if you don't have that, then you're not on the cutting edge. And I didn't ever feel like I had to be on the cutting edge, but music is my geek. Music is my passion. Music is everything minus my wife and son. So
Mhm.
to me, it was just like, and my friends. So to me, it was just like, you had to have those records. And so what happened was when I took a step back and realized I could bring a laptop with infinite library and organize the crates as I needed to, then basically it was just like, okay, let me sell off a huge amount of the mobile stuff or the club stuff that I didn't so much need anymore.
Do you have
And
any regrets selling any of
absolutely
this
all
stuff?
of it.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
want it all
really?
back. I want it all back, and
Oh, man.
not greedy. I'll give you just a quick example, right? So I don't know what I'm about to grab.
Because
Oh,
they're expensive.
well, this is a perfect example. So this is a drum and bass album from the artist Four Hero. So some of the OG stuff is here, right? But here's an example where this sounds super geeky, so pardon me. If you needed to replace this isn't the one that you mixed at all the parties, at all the events. So if this piece of vinyl's gone and I just want to go buy it on Discogs, the one I'm getting doesn't have the same energy attached to it. It doesn't have the fingerprints on it. It doesn't have that one tick that always annoyed you. Stove can relate. And so I got a little neurotic about missing my actual original records. So I have a lot of them. I don't have a lot of them. And now having a son, the things that Jordan's really, really into right now, like he's super into the Beastie Boys. So luckily, I didn't touch that. That's all intact there. So I can share that with him. But that's a
Nice.
long way of saying I'm not Questlove. I don't count my records. I don't go around talk about how many records I have. And I tell people in my chat, any bit or sub that comes my way goes right back to the record store. So I'm
Yeah,
kind
for
of
sure.
rebuilding is basically.
Do you feel like it's, like, really stressful, though? Like, I mean, I'm sure you're so used to vinyls, and so for people that really don't understand DJing, like, it takes a lot of work, a lot of practice, a lot of hours these guys, and especially him, put in a lot of hours. But when you pull, like, a record, you're only taking 1 or 2 songs. You kinda really gotta know where things are on that record of 7 or 10 or 12 tracks, you know?
Yeah, I
But
mean,
do you feel
if
pressure, like, where you're like, "Oh, shoot," or do you really, really know your records where you're like, "Okay," or do you kinda pre-plan, like, when you do a show?
well, no, so if Neek 10's still in here, Neek, I got my chair and I'm wheeling it in with my double ARCP card. Um, I can't stress enough that it's just the era that I came from. And that Jay Valencia and Justin Johnson, all in the chat, where we all came from, there was nothing else, right? It was like that's what it was. Everything was vinyl based. I mean, don't forget, we didn't do this because we weren't that selfish. But back in the day, dudes would cover up their darn labels
Oh, yeah, I
because
heard
they didn't
about
want
that.
they didn't want you to know
I
the
heard about
exclusive
that.
jam that you were playing.
Wow. So they
And
would tape them up? Like, they would
they
put
would
tape,
just
black tape?
no, they would just throw like a label or something. I mean, you could even put a darn coaster over it. I mean,
But if
whatever.
they cover it up, how do they know what record
Well,
is
we would
what?
know, but we didn't want you, if you're in the DJ booth, to know.
Wow.
I mean, this goes
'Cause
back to the
do you
origins of hip
think
hop.
DJs were really, really, like, lurking, like, really scouting to see.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, really?
The whole reason I'm so sprung out on Twitch, and I want to just take a moment to love everybody in the chat. It's making me a little emo to see Stove and Tony and G Class and Neek and Jay and everyone rallying around. This is a new family to me. Jay Valencia and Justin Johnson are the only two people in the chat that I've known both of them since 5th and 6th grade,
Yeah, it's
and
awesome.
we're still connected now. And this new
Mhm.
tribe of beautiful I mean, these are genuine friendships. Like, I was on the phone with Stove earlier. I was on the phone with G Class earlier. Like, and the way that they're showing up for me and me to them and that whole ecosystem, that's why everyone sees me on Twitch so much as an audience participant and community participant, less so than a content creator, is because I'm just so geeked that there's a music loving, knowledgeable, soulful community. I mean, Tony, who just popped up, like, I remember when I hadn't started streaming and I found Tony's channel, and Tony was like, man, get in here. He's like, I will welcome you. I'm sure other people will welcome you, and get in, the water's warm.
Mhm.
And Stove said the same. And so, and Jay just said it, Twitch is music therapy, like
So true.
1000%.
Yeah.
So anyway, to wrap up your question, meaning that we just come from a different era, and so I don't like talking to newer DJs now about back in our day,
Mhm.
but I will be honest and share with you that I think, and I'll ask for some cosigns in the room, I think that it serves us even better now coming from that, because for me, adapting to digital, pardon the word, it's not shit. I can do
Mhm.
digital all day long. I'm still beat matching on my shows on vinyl,
Mm.
and I'm rusty because I've been
Mhm.
relying now on this. So it's just interesting. I would love for any aspiring DJ to at least touch turntables to get an idea of what that tactile experience is. And you asked about knowing the music and knowing the records. I mean, and Stove will give a big hallelujah. Your records was everything. If you didn't have records, you were not in the game. You were sitting on the bench. And what's up, Tally? Miss P. Smitty, welcome in. Um, you would spend your money. I mean, I'll pull out one more that's just here because I know there's some 12 inches here. Every 12-inch, if it was from England and was an import, was $10 each. And we're talking about 1993, 1994, 1995. And DJ Justin Johnson Jr., my man, thank you for coming in here. D Biggs, thank you. Record Breaking's the man. Record Breaking has his own label, so he could talk to you about records. But the concept being that you had to have your arsenal, you had to have your tools, and any money that you would get from your gig or from your job, Rich Gifted hand sliding in, that's my man, you would have to put that invested right back in it. We were DJing 2, 3, 4 times a week as a full-time job. So your record collection was everything. And DJ Justin Johnson, he really, really, really started thriving with electronic music where domestic 12 inches weren't even a thing. Because you could get a domestic 12 for $5, but an
Mhm.
import with 2 songs on it was 10.
Wow.
So if you can kind of read between the lines, you were dropping thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to acquire what entitled you to perform.
Yeah.
Where
Was
now
it super
now the point of
competitive?
entry is almost zero. I can DJ
Yeah.
from my phone.
When you were buying vinyls back in the day, like I heard some crazy stories. I think I heard from Starting from Scratch and a few of the guys in Toronto, like watching the documentary. I can't remember what the name, Drop the Needle, I think it was in Toronto. Amazing documentary, guys.
Yeah, I'll
Check it
check that
out.
out.
Yeah. And it's like they would talk about like racing across the border to Buffalo and they'd all be racing each other. They'd literally be on the road. I don't think it was Starting from Scratch. It was like other guys. They'd literally
Yeah,
be racing neck and neck
yeah,
to go to the record store and try to get that
yeah,
bundle or the crate or whatever it was.
yeah.
Was it like competitive in the Bay Area like
Oh,
that
let
amongst
me let me
DJs?
let me
And
let,
they
let
would
me
like
take
slice you up for that
let
for
me
that,
take a minute.
you
I'll
know,
take a minute to bend a
that crate.
corner. Oh, I'll bend a corner right now. So DJ
Okay.
Malachi 510 is my homie in real life. We came up DJing in the Bay. We didn't come up
Nice.
together, but we kind of met in the mid 90s in the
Mhm.
Berkeley, Oakland area specifically, because Mal's from the East Bay. Welcome in, Yuta. Welcome in, D Biggs.
Yeah, there's
So
so many people coming in. Welcome, you guys. I know I'm missing all of you guys, but I see you. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you for coming through to learn more about DJ Funklor as well. I appreciate you. So,
yes,
sorry, go on. Yeah.
no, so with Malachi, he ran a record pool with Benny B, who ran ABB Records, which was the home of Little Brother.
Hmm.
Before they signed with Atlantic, that was kind of their biggest act. They had Guapale at the beginning of her
Oh,
career.
wow. Oh,
They
my gosh. I
had,
love her.
yeah, they distributed Platinum Pied Pipers at the beginning.
Wow.
Anyway, it was a very small boutique-ish label based out of Oakland. And Mal, I mean, like, look, I'll get all emo again. It's just this is the roots of my life, right? Like, it's not just, hey, let's talk about DJing. Like, I would be able to hit up Mal on the phone and say, Mal, I need dot 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 dot. He might only have 3 of them to give out. And at the time, I'm not the biggest, most successful taste making DJ in the Bay. Far from it. Chewy Gomez, who was popping in, he was running on KMEL. He was doing big things. Alex Mejia was running on KMEL doing big things. So I was a very small fish in my little ecosystem, but Mal was so loving and soulful and fair that he would make sure that me and a couple of his homies would get what we needed when at all possible. I mean, I specifically remember one day, I could not tell you what record it was, but it was a very hot record. And so I would go to Mal's office on a Friday for the gig on Friday night. And I remember one night I was like, man, I need this record, Mal. And he's like, I only have mine. I'll give you mine and you can come hit me back after your gig tonight. I mean,
Wow.
so was it cutthroat? Yes. But if you were linked with the right squad, like the way we all are now, like
Mhm.
if I needed to send record breaking something or Lady
Sweet.
G something or Rich something, we'll swap files and no one's
Or
tripping.
Honey Flow something.
Yeah, or Honey Flow
Something,
something.
something, something. Just
For
joking.
sure. But so I guess to wrap that part up, it's like coming up in that era, it was a whole nother thing. I mean, right
Yeah.
now, our brother Rhino CMZ is an old school producer. Well, he's not old school, but he comes from the old school, East Coast, New York, New Jersey, and he's a producer and a DJ. And he was there, right? Being in California, and Tony's in the East Coast as well, you would hear the stories about having block parties by, you know, the ingenuity of getting power from the city's public power out of a lamppost to run your
Wow.
gear.
That's
Rhino lived that life. Like
wow.
he's a little younger than the OGs of it, but we were talking recently and he was telling me, and so I'd only heard the folklore of all that stuff. So to talk to him now about what that is, I'm not trying to stun on anyone who didn't get to experience that, but it's just a whole nother era
Yeah,
of
for
being
sure.
able to rock that way. So yeah,
That's
sorry.
awesome.
That's
And DJ
vinyl's
Malik,
a whole thing.
yeah, for sure. And DJ Malachi, right? He's awesome. He definitely I interviewed him a long time ago.
Yeah.
And you know he's got music, not only from his show, but he's got a cool story of driving out his vinyls and selling them to
To Janelle.
Janelle Monáe, guys. He was actually in her
Yep.
freaking mansion. I
Yep.
sound Canadian, very
I-
nerdy. I said frickin', but it's true. I don't know why I'm getting that word all the time. I always
yeah.
say frickin' all the time. Where does that
And
word come from? I don't
do
know.
you know what's even funnier about that? Just a quick aside.
Cool
When
story.
when that happened, I called him and I'm all, man, now she's out
Oh
here
man.
doing photo shoots in front of your vinyl. And like I mean, look, as Stove knows and those that know him in real life, he is about as humble and soulful a cat
He
as you're
definitely
ever gonna
is. Yeah.
find.
Yeah.
And he and I both, we don't go out blasting our victories. You don't really
Mhm.
hear about it. We kind of just keep it close to the vest. And when people ask, we'll share, but we're not
Mhm.
out there telling. And Mal's got stories. I
That's
mean,
what
we
I
all,
love.
yeah,
Like, you guys are so similar, and I can tell, like, even when I interviewed Big Stove and Malachi and, like, a few guys, I can see very clear similarities, between all of them. And you're right, like, Retro, Soul says, "You don't have to preach." And that's what I love about these guys, like or people that are so successful in life, like, even if you're a billionaire, you don't have to like a lot of billionaires go to thrift stores or a lot of them buy secondhand stuff. You would never know, right? And I see it the same way as you guys. Like you've done so much and it's like you could have a big ego, but you don't. And I think the most successful people that really have done really great things in life, they don't really need to showcase it. They have nothing to prove to anyone,
check
right?
out what I can share with you though. And Justin can testify. He's at work right now, but if he can, basically, here's how it all started. We hated arrogant DJs. We
Hmm.
were young cats. We were 17, 18, 19 years old. And all the dudes that were boastful and puffing their chest out, even Tony Smith recently was cracking me up in his stream. He had a gig recently where someone was like playing the wrong music. He was like, "Do you know who I am?" Like, was actually saying that in a
Oh
public
boy.
space to
Uh,
someone, just clowning himself out of the gig and into the corner. But we hated it. And I specifically remember there was a very successful DJ in the Bay Area whose name I will not mention. Um, and I went in his face and I was like, bro, you do know that all you're doing is playing other people's music. You didn't make this music. You don't own this music. So step back. Like
mhm.
we hated it. I mean, I don't use
Yeah,
the
I
word
hate
hate,
it too.
but we just
I don't
we
like
we were
it.
really turned off by it. And so
Yeah.
Justin and myself made a pact. I mean, Justin and I would be in his room or my room, and we would just be practicing all day, all night, over and over and over again. And we made a pact to each other. Hey man, I don't ever want to be like those guys. And he was like, I don't either. And so
Wow.
for a lot of years, and at this point, decades, I think it kind of shaped how, excuse me, how we were going to move, forward because we were just like, okay, we know what we don't want to be. And so like right now, like, excuse me, I was even a little shook about the interview because I was like, I don't want anyone to get caught up on the boasting, like as you're reading the ESPN ticker, like all those things that I've done that are dope. I'm proud of them and I'll share the stories with them.
Yeah.
But it took huge amounts of work and practice and effort to get into those rooms and have those opportunities.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we're gonna get into them, you guys, because there's just so much to get into. And you can blame me for blasting the ticker, but I feel like it's well deserved. I feel like if you've worked with these legendary acts, then that should really be showcased. So we're gonna run through it for the people that just came in the room, and we're gonna ask him if you guys got any questions, drop in the chat too, with some of the acts he's worked with. But I just want this again because I feel like it deserves to be recognized too. So he's played for amazing legendary acts, including Lenny Kravitz, Drake, Erykah Badu, Jamiroquai, Snoop Dogg, Jill Scott, Nas, Frank Ocean, Lauryn Hill. That's why we're at the top today, Lauryn Hill. Although,
Yeah, the worst show of all of them. But go ahead.
oh shoot, yeah, I was gonna say that was my worst show of all of them. Love you, Lauryn Hill. If you ever listen to me, I love you. But girl,
I
showing
left.
up. Oh wow, showing up 5 hours later. Come on now.
No, she wasn't late. She wasn't late. She was just trying to find her stride. This was in like, God, I think this was in like 99-ish,
Yeah.
maybe 2001-ish. And so she had been reclused. Like she had already done that MTV Unplugged and then she poof ghosted.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine was working with her in her band. And it happened to be at a venue that I would play fairly often, not all the time, but fairly often. And so I remember being very, very excited. I mean, somewhere back here, I was with them, the Fugees, on the Smoke and Grooves tour, which was a short-lived tour that was inspired by Lollapalooza. And so it was like Tribe Called Quest, Fugees, Cypress Hill. I don't remember the exact lineup, but it was dope. And so I got to meet Lauryn in that era. Like it was kind of, I think it might have been pre the score or right when the score was kind of on its ascent. And she was just humble as heck at that time. And then the industry chewed her up and spit her out. And so when I had the chance to play with her, it was like no one was really checking for her that way. And I was very excited and proud to do it. And I was very geeky about what was about to happen. She basically came on stage and musically rearranged all of her songs. And I don't know if she did it to make it sound new and inventive or to tell people I don't want to be stuck in this box of reproducing the Miseducation album live. It was just all kinds of wrong. And I was like, I cannot believe it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, did you perform in Toronto at all when she's at the
I very much want to visit your hometown. I've actually the only side of Canada I've been on is our side. So
oh man, you would love it. You would love it here.
We get shook down every time we go to Vancouver. I have stories of crossing the border into Vancouver.
Oh yeah, customs is tough. Don't bring anything with you guys.
Nothing. You might as well
don't even bring a paper clip in Canada. Trust me.
You might as well be stark naked when you're.
Yeah, if you have a DUI, trust me, they've harassed me too. If you have a DUI, good luck.
Dreddy, welcome in, Dreddy.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you with Lauryn Hill. I know in Toronto she showed up 5 hours late. So by then we were so tired. And we're like, oh, come on, man. Like 5 hours? Seriously? Like we paid for tickets, right?
Let's talk.
And then she came out.
I'll throw her under the bus. I mean,
oh, shoot. Then she came out, but then she started yelling at her band. And I don't know if she was high, but she would go for 2 seconds and then she'd be like, stop, like that, like 20 times to them. So then they would stop and they looked all confused on stage. Then they would start back and then she'd be like, come on, like get back again. So then
I think
they'd play her again. She did that like 20 times and then she'd tell him to stop, start yelling at her band. I'm like, what is happening here?
Yeah, she did that at the one I DJ'd.
Oh, yeah?
She likes to act as the musical director, which she is.
Yeah.
But to summarize Lauryn before we spend too much time on her is she's extremely gifted and talented, and many people.
She is. I mean,
many people would say that she put out one of the best albums of that era, the Time Capsule album. But she's a tortured soul. She's a troubled soul, and that's all I can say. I have people who worked in her band that quit her band. They're like, I just
Wow.
can't even deal.
And you
So
just like walked. Yeah, that was a bit disappointing because when you and I love her. I love her music. Still play it, of course.
yeah,
Everyone goes
Dreddy,
through stuff.
that
I think this
Dreddy,
industry is hard.
that part, Dreddy, read that.
Let's
That's
see. She would
exactly what
come
she would
out
do.
and all her songs were like a million BPMs faster than what we knew. Yeah, it didn't seem like she coordinated with her band and her band didn't know what was going on stage
She's
and
a trip.
everything was confused. But
She's a trip.
it could also be, maybe she was struggling at some point. Got to give people grace too. Maybe,
For sure.
she was struggling with some stuff, right?
Yeah,
Just
but
like any great artist.
where there's smoke, there's fire. She's been this way for over 25 years. So
Oh wow. So
But let's
you
move on.
okay, so you just left then. You just left the
I
show? Like,
bounced. I got my gear. I got paid, and I left.
oh my gosh.
It was
Okay.
that bad.
So who okay, so now we kind of know probably I don't want to say the worst performer because this is live, but like has there been anyone else that was kind of like a little bit harder, a little bit more difficult to work with or
No, well, here's
not the
here's
worst, but just kind of like maybe a bit
well here's the thing,
more
and I
challenging?
no, here's the thing, and Stove and I talked about it briefly earlier today. Um, Everything is a vibe, right? And
Mhm.
everything is an energy exchange depending on when you have the opportunity. So although some of these names on the ticker are flashy, I didn't have meaningful exchanges with all of them. Some of them I did, and I could go into glorious stories about them, and some of them not so much. Some of them you would never cross paths with the manager or the drummer or the artist themselves. One and only B, thank you for making it. That's my mod homie.
Hi,
Um,
great to see you.
so I mean, like, I don't have particular. I mean, I could embellish certain stories about what was meaningful about different ones, but I mean, some of them were a trip. Like, so when I DJ'd and I opened for Drake, it was right when the first mixtape. So far, is it so far so gone?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he hadn't even put out his first major LP yet,
Wow.
but he was playing a huge theater, the same one that Lauryn did. Coincidentally enough, it's called the Warfield in downtown San Francisco.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I got asked to do the gig. All I knew was he was biting Guapale's beat. Like I had heard him
Mm.
on Guapale's Closer beat. I was like, who's this Busta trying to ruin this beautiful song? And he
Mhm.
was hot at the moment. Everyone was like, Drake, 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 Drake. And this was 2010, I think. And so I was happy to do the gig. It was one of my favorite rooms to play, banging PA. It was beautiful, but I didn't have an attachment to him at all. I was like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna warm up the crowd. I'm gonna do what I do because the whole point that other people don't know as well, which is really important about all these names. My job or any good DJ's job is not to be the star that evening.
Mm.
The job is, as Riz would appreciate, it's the foreplay. I'm marinating the room. I am seducing the room. I'm putting the room in the right space to receive this beautiful artist that we're all there to pay and see and experience. And so the reason why I had and have beautiful exchanges with some of the artists is because they felt that. Like, I don't want to jump too far forward, but like one of my favorite stories from a celebrity name was my time doing Snoop. It was at my favorite venue in the world, pretty much, the Fillmore, the historic Fillmore in San Francisco. And when we got to build at the end of the night, he was bigging up me. And he was just like, yo, man, you did this and you did that. And it felt so good. And so that to me was kind of one of the biggest, and Chappelle too. I'll tell that one another time. But like when the artists recognize what I was trying to do in my mission, and as musicians themselves, they get that. Because there
Mhm.
could be a ton of DJs that would show up and try and show out and make it like, well, I'm on right now. I don't care what's happening in an hour. It's all about me, 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 me. There were times where lighting guys would get mad at me because I always asked for a purple light. I'm a Prince junkie, so
Mhm.
I'd always ask for a purple light, and I asked him, I said, turn it down as low as you possibly can, but whatever you need to show the audience that I'm here.
Yeah.
I shied away from, I don't want big spotlights. I just want to do what I do, and you put as much light as you think you need, but I don't want it. So anyway, what that means is that when you're asking what would happen with these different artists, it's like sometimes there were amazing connections and stories, and sometimes we were just two people passing each other, and it was a gig.
Yeah, I get
Like
that.
Frank Ocean was like that too.
Wow, I'm surprised. Yeah, so some of the other artists too were Ice Cube, Damon Marley, Seal, George Clinton, The Roots, Steel Pulse, Ben Harper, and Smokey Robinson, and more. But I'm actually surprised by that because I would think that they would have their own traveling DJs and they wouldn't take the risk on, like, say if they come to your city, having a new DJ because they don't know what the connection would be, right? You have to play their songs, you have to make sure you're on point. So I'm actually very surprised that some of them were kind of passing through, like maybe in your city, and then you played for them
Well,
one time.
let me define that though, because
Mhm.
I don't want to lead anyone astray. There's
Yeah.
two types of things. The names that you're seeing here, most of them I'm opening. So I'm the
Mhm.
equivalent of an opening act. I'm
Yeah.
not DJing in their actual stage show. There
Oh, so
were
they bring another DJ in for
well,
their
no,
DJ?
I'm trying. Okay, so for example, let's talk about the ones that I did.
Mhm.
So I
That's
mean,
huge though, opening up for all of them. That's
well,
huge.
well, that was 85% of them. Like
Wow.
all the names that you're seeing here, I wasn't in their band that night. I was the foreplay. I was the opening.
Okay, kind of, yeah, trying to bring it, but then do you always have the pressure to kind of be lower than, say, their main DJ? Because you know how DJs have egos, so they're like, "Well, don't be playing bang hits," or don't have you ever had any
Well,
DJs
I
kind
think,
of
I think,
put you in
I think,
check? Like, okay, you know?
I think you're mistaking a lot of hip hop culture and hip hop shows. Most of these
Mhm.
bands that I played for, there was no DJ involved. So there
Hmm,
were a few
okay.
stories of, like, for example, rest his soul, Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle came to a venue that I would play a lot, called Yoshi's. It was a famous jazz venue that then expanded, and they had a short-lived room in San Francisco. They were based originally in Oakland. And so I got a call. I'm literally like showtime's at 8. I must have gotten a call at like 5. Yo, Nipsey Hussle's down here. Can you come DJ for him? And keep in mind, at this time, I knew like one Nipsey Hussle song. He wasn't on my radar. He was
Oh,
much
sure.
younger than,
Yeah.
yeah, he was much younger than me. I didn't have an affiliation with him. Um, so there wasn't any attachment. So I was like, yeah, I'll come down. So I came down and I'm talking to him and I'm like, yo, man, what's happening? How do you want to run your show? And he literally just tosses me a CD and he's like, just do what you do. The CDs, the tracks are in order on the CD, run it like a show CD and do what you do with it. And because I didn't know him and I wanted the show to run well for him, I was like, well, do you want me to try and burn another CD and I can blend? And like, do you want me to do some cutting? Do you want me to do some scratching? Like, basically, do you want me to be a visible and participating part of your show, or do you want me to fade to the back and just press the next song? And
Mhm.
he's like, well, we'll just kind of vibe. I think I mostly just want you to go song to song to song. And so that's an example where I hate to say it, but his management or somebody, they weren't tripping on a DJ. They were just going to travel around with a show DAT or a show CD, give it to the house sound man, and let it happen. Kind of the opposite side of that story, which was like one of my crowning victories, if you will. I have it here on my studio wall. Is I met KRS-One very early on. Like
Mhm.
me and Justin met him in I think 1989 or 1990 between the Ghetto Music album and Edutainment. And we had seen him every time he had come to town. So anyway, cut 2 years later in 1997, I think it was, and I went to go meet him when he came into town just to hang out. And he's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Are you going to be at the show?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to be at the show." He's like, "All right, cool. We'll rap later." And so I go to the show, and he had a very famous Bay Area DJ. I don't want to say who it was, but she was extremely
She
talented. She was extremely talented. She was a
hmm,
friend of mine, and she was extremely well respected. And after the show, Chris was hot. I mean, he was pissed. As an audience member, I thought the show went great, but he inside of his artist brain was mad. So we
hmm.
went back to his hotel that night. And he's like, I'm not going to swear on your show, but he was cussing up a storm. He's like, I can't believe it. She wasn't connecting with me. She wasn't vibing with me. I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. It was messed up.
Oh,
Josh,
shoot.
tomorrow you're coming with me. You're doing it.
Oh, wow.
And I was shook because I'd been a DJ. I knew KRS as a homie, but the fact that he took someone who, if I actually told the chat who it was, they'd be like, "Oh, damn, he wasn't feeling her." Like,
Now I really want to know who it is, you guys. Who do you think it is for the
no,
female DJ?
okay, I
Is
will
she on
share.
Twitch?
I will. No, unfortunately, she's passed on. I will
Oh,
share who it. I'll share who it was, but it's no shade to her because she's a
Pam the
badass.
Funktress? Pam the
You
Funktress?
got it.
No, really?
You got
Pam
it.
the Funktress?
You got it.
So,
Hold on. The last DJ
yeah,
that Prince chose to work with
yes,
was
Pam
her.
the Funktress. She's
Yeah,
oh man,
from the coup.
that girl's so like amazing to
So
me. Pam the
imagine,
Funktress.
so imagine this icon, to me, a
Yeah,
superhero at that point, KRS, right? He literally is like throwing her under the bus, saying she wasn't up to snuff. Josh, you're up to
wow,
deck. Let's go.
that's
So
crazy.
I stayed up all night, and he knew I could do it because I had all his instrumentals, I had all his wax, and it was one of the most stressful but rewarding and priceless experiences. So I'm just sharing with you that 98 or not 90, 95% of the artists I played for, there was no DJing involved. But the Nipsey was kind of the whack version. KRS was kind of the amazing version. Jordan is starting to get into KRS. So several years later, I found an audio recording, like a bootleg cassette from someone that was at the show. So he's calling out DJ Josh during the show, and Jordan's eyes just got huge. He's like, "What?" So yeah,
That's
that's
amazing.
kind of a quick
KRS-One,
victory version.
that's huge victory. KRS-One, I heard, can be like very, very particular. I interviewed Jay Swan
Okay.
Music, and he like
Okay.
raps. I don't know if you know who he is, Jay Swan Music.
No.
Definitely good to follow you guys.
Oh
But
wait, Jay Swan. Yeah,
yeah,
JACE. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So I had him on my show, and he's like reminds me kind of that Jay Dilla type of vibe, style, Slum Village type of vibe. And he was performing before KRS-One, and KRS-One pulled him because he had the crowd. Like he said, people were throwing, well, women were throwing different things at him,
Wait, he had the
unmentionables
crowd
at
in
him.
a good way,
In a
or he
good way, in a good way. Like women were throwing things at him like they would like basically
Teddy
Maxwell, right?
Pendergrass? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much like Teddy Pendergrass lean back cover, or was it Albie? Sure, I don't know. Anyways, they're throwing different things at him, and like he was like basically the life of the party before KRS-One came on. But he said that KRS-One pulled him aside and basically checked him and said, "Look,
You're doing
buddy,
too much.
like know your place, or kind of like know where the music came from." So I don't know if it was because he was like a white guy, and like he said something to him, like
Oh, I'll tell you
know
right now. He
your place. I was like,
no,
whoa, that'd be intimidating.
Chris
But
doesn't see color. Chris don't see
yeah,
color. Chris
but he
only
did
sees.
mention that he did say something about like know the culture, or know you
Oh,
better recognize the.
he put out a
I
Bible.
was like, ooh,
He put out. I have it somewhere over here, but he has
yeah,
like the hip hop Bible, and he's serious about it. I don't have a single negative thing to say about Chris.
yeah, yeah. No,
That might have been a bad experience.
yeah, it wasn't a really a bad experience between them, but he said something, and Jay Swan's like, "Yeah, yeah, man, like I get it. You're right." So it was kind of an interesting story that he told me, and it's interesting, like, so for him to give you mad respect, I think that's very, very huge,
I
because I
mean,
don't think he does
it was
that with
special.
everyone.
It was
Oh, that's
special.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially Pam the Funktress, she's such a incredibly like talented DJ, like as
Underrated.
well. Oh,
Super underrated.
super underrated, big time.
Let me tell
Yeah.
you, because since we're on Pam, so
Mhm.
a pause. So there were literally a routine that she used to do, and she would do it and use the Lady of Rage record Afro Puffs, and she would cut back and forth. Let me loosen up my bra strap, and
Mhm.
while she was doing the routine, she would go under her shirt. She'd still be cutting back and forth, and she'd pull her bra out through her sleeve.
Oh my gosh.
It was a showstopper. It was savage, and we miss her very, very much.
Yeah, exactly. I remember seeing her in Minneapolis in my 20s. She was the one that like where I've never seen a female do it. Like her, Shorty, all these women together. They're the ones that inspired me to get into DJing. Like I was
Yeah.
just so blown away. And they're so nice. They're really sweet, And she was doing this when she was 20 years old. Like,
Mhm.
so I'm super glad that she was able to go on one tour, was it, with Prince? I think the last tour, both
Yeah,
of them.
I
So,
don't wanna misspeak, but yes, I
yeah.
mean, she did shows for him in several places. I'm 90% sure he flew her out to do Paisley Park. That was actually one of the only artists that I had always aspired to play for. This was prior to Pam's thing, and it almost happened. It was
Yeah.
this close to me getting to play for him at the Fillmore, to the point where this
Wow.
was digital era. I had my crate ready. I was
Nice.
on the phone with the production manager. He's like, I want to have you. I got to get it cleared with his people. Be on speed dial. And I was like, say less, because that's who I wanted to play for my
Yeah.
entire career.
Oh
Forget all
yeah.
the names on the ESPN ticker. If the only artist I got to DJ for was him, I would have been cool. And it was literally that close. Like, but I mean, you can't, that's just a toss up. Like you asked, you said, hey, do people want to have just strange people play for them? Certainly Prince ain't going to, but
No.
Prince trusted the people at the Fillmore because it was one of his favorite places to play. And so when they said, hey, we got our guy, it wasn't like he was saying no to me. He just didn't want an opening act that night. He wanted it to be an evening with. So that was the only reason why it didn't happen. But yeah, that was the only thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm mad.
Wow. Do you have any other like really memorable like artist stories that you've spun for? Like Kira's
Too
one, that's a
many.
pretty big one.
Too
Yeah, too
many.
many.
And I don't say too many to be boastful. It's like I don't want to take a 5-hour show with you. I mean, I guess one of the most impactful was Smokey Robinson. I was shook when I got the call, not because I couldn't do the job, but because I mean Marvin Gaye is one of my biggest musical heroes, as I'm sure many people in the room, and so I've studied Motown and I've been to Motown, and the thought of me getting to open for Smokey Robinson was huge. And so what made it extra memorable is I brought my mom. There's very few gigs that I've invited my mother to because they're musically not really up her alley. So to be able to call my mom and say, "Mom, I'm bringing you to a show I'm doing tonight." She's like, "Who are you playing for?" I'm all,
Mm.
"William Smokey Robinson." And I heard her shriek through the phone
Yeah, that's crazy.
because that was her era. She was making out in the back seat of cars listening to Smokey Robinson. So
Hmm.
that one was extra special. I also brought my second mom, not by blood, but just in my life. So that both of my mother figures were at that show that night. And I got to speak to him before the show. And we were talking about Motown and we were talking about the art of songwriting. And he was just so willing and openly sharing his knowledge. And so that was really significant. Chappelle was super significant because it was literally right between season 1 and season 2 of his show. So he was white hot. Like Chappelle show was the fastest thing moving. And again, it was a last minute thing because I had a working relationship with the Fillmore. They called me and they're like, yo, we need you down here. Dave wants to have a DJ. Can you do it? I'm like, absolutely. So I go down there. It wasn't far from my home. And the whole tour bus, the rap tour bus with Chappelle shows on and it's right in front of the venue. And it was pretty damn intimidating. And what made it extra intimidating that no one told me until I got there, it was actually his taping of what was going to be, I believe, his Showtime special called For What It's Worth. So I knew that
Hmm.
I wouldn't be in it because obviously they're not going to clear the rights for the music, and it wasn't me, it was Dave's show. But so they tell me when I get there, they're like, all right, we got your booth over here. We're doing all this set. I mean, I'd never seen the Fillmore dressed up like this because it was to be a taped comedy special. And so I was super shook and I talked to him for a minute before he went on. I was like, yo, man, is there any particular vibe that you want? Because I wanted to defer to him in that instance of what kind of energy he wanted. He's like, nah, man, Morgan says you're good. We're good. Morgan was the production manager at the
Oh
time.
wow.
So
Nice.
I'm like, all right, bet. I said, I got you. I'm honored and thrilled to be doing this. I'm going to make sure that when you come on the stage, your switches are hit and you're fired up and we're going to do it. So at the end of that night, Morgan, the production manager, came to find me. He's like, yo, man, come with me right now. And at first I thought I was in trouble. I was like, uh-oh. He's like, someone wants to talk to you. And he didn't know that Dave and I had already spoken. So it was Dave. He's kind of summoned me to his green room. And so I go back there and he gave me a huge hug and he's like, bruh, he's like, no one could have done what you did. He's like, that was amazing. My mother's here. My mother loved what you did. Please
Oh,
meet my
that's nice.
mom. And
Wow.
and his mother was a lifetime educator and a teacher.
Mhm,
And so teachers are super important to me in my life. So I had enormous respect. So he's all, what are you doing tomorrow? And
mhm.
at that point, I'm like, nothing, like waiting to hear what was coming. He's like, I'm playing tomorrow night in San Jose State for 8,000 people, and you're coming with me, and you're opening again. Let's go.
What? That's crazy.
And I'm just like, I'd played to some large rooms, but
Yeah,
8,000 is a bit intimidating,
yeah,
especially again, Chappelle. I mean, I have the poster here. Like this is '04. So we're going 20 years back in time for this.
yeah.
But he was at the top of his game, and
Mhm.
Chappelle thing was the hottest thing moving. So it was a big, big deal. And I was shook because even though he told me it was amazing, I'm like, yeah, but this is a different animal. This is 8,000 people. The Fillmore was 1,000. So it was
Totally.
7,000 more.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and the
So
only,
we're yeah,
or I
go
just want
ahead.
to finish. The only regret I have is I have a photograph of me doing the gig, but I have no video of the show. And what crushed me was he made me part of his show that night. So
Wow.
like during the show, and this was vinyl, there was no digital yet because well, there might have been digital, but I wasn't on it. So I was bringing crates. So he came up before his show, and he's like, and he, I don't remember if he called me Josh, which is my name, or Funklor, I don't recall, but he was like flipping through my crates. I mean, we're on stage together. He's putting me on the spot. He's all, "What you got? What you got?" And so I'm like, "What you want?" And so I pulled out some Gangstar instrumentals, some Wu-Tang instrumentals, like stuff I knew he would really dig. And we had a ball, and it's only up here. I don't have anything on video to remember it by. But that was
Wow.
dope. That was a huge victory.
That's such a cool story. Were you ever nervous, like, performing? I
All the
know well,
time.
that all the
All the
time?
time. Oh yeah.
Really?
Anyone that says they're not is a liar. I mean,
Hmm.
in these instances, I'll make you guys laugh. I'm more nervous staring at this camera and streaming from my studio at home than I am if someone called me and said, "Come rock this show tonight." If the phone rang right now and someone said, "Yo, Josh, we need you," no problem. But I hate the camera. It freaks me out. I'm
What?
still
You
getting
hate
used to
the
it.
camera? You hate the
I
camera?
thank you, Honey Flo.
You
Yeah,
really, really hate
I
it?
don't
Let's see, guys. Let's see how much he hates the
I
camera.
don't like it.
He
I
looks
like
good
it,
on camera. Come
but
on. There we
anyone
go.
that's in my streams knows I always look away or down. I don't ever
Oh, do
look.
you?
Oh yeah, I
At
never
the
look
camera?
at it.
You know what's interesting? Most people sorry, I hate to zoom in.
You can
Uh,
zoom in. Go
oh,
ahead.
oh, I could zoom in on you? Really? Can I
Oh, there's
really zoom in
K-Lock.
on you?
There's my
Can
man
I
K-Lock.
really
Yo,
zoom in
check
on
it.
you?
I'm just saying.
Oh,
In
man.
the comfort with you right now, it doesn't shake me. But
Are you
yeah, I
sure?
mean, you're trying to start something. No, I mean, like literally, I'm just saying that playing in my natural habitat is
Mhm.
on those types of big gigs. But saying that you aren't nervous, I mean, I'm trying to think. There's some names that are here and some that aren't. What was the most nervous? I don't know. I'm not. I mean, I'm not seeing the immediate ones that jump out to me. I mean, I was nervous on almost all of them because, yo, my brother C Sharp.
You
Please
doing C
follow my
sharp?
brother C
You
Sharp.
know, most big DJs, whether I've interviewed big or small streamers, they all say the same thing.
What?
I don't like being in front of the camera either. That's why I got my hats down low all the time. I don't like being on camera.
You want to hear a
So,
funny story?
yeah.
When I first, Jay Valencia and Justin Johnson will know this. When I first knew I was going to start on Twitch, I said, "Can I just put up a picture of a beautiful girl and just play the
Mhm.
music and not be on camera?"
Yeah.
Like literally, I just didn't want to be on camera. Because I treat Twitch a bit like Tony does Retro
Mhm.
Soul. I view it as kind of radio. And oh God, I'm gonna space out my man.
That's okay.
No, there's someone I wanted to shout out. He coined the phrase. He calls it social radio,
Mhm.
kind of the merging of radio and social media being kind of intertwined, and that's what's up. I mean, the fam that's coming through right now, it means everything to me, and so I'm less nervous because I'm playing to them. But yeah, I mean, I guess what was the most nervous I ever was?
Hey,
I mean,
Lock and Key.
Lock and Key's the man. He hates the microphone. He don't hate being on camera.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys in the
Wise up. I've been looking for you, Wise.
how you doing?
I
Wise
hope
up.
the move went well. I'm
Your
excited
tribe
for you to
is
start streaming again. Wise up is the
definitely here.
truth. Wise
Lock
up
and
is the
key as
truth.
well. I'm just curious, all you streamers in the room, how many of you or DJs, how many of you would get more nervous being on camera like this close, kind of on Twitch compared to doing a show? I agree with you. I feel the same way. I think it's because the audience is far away. So it really doesn't matter if you have like 10,000 people or 100,000 people in front of you. I feel like they're this small, like you can't see them because you're so far away.
You
But
know what it is
it's
though? It's
so
like when
close and intimate here, right?
it's just more natural. I guess the best way I could describe it is the reps. I've
Mhm.
only been doing Twitch for 7 months, I think now.
True, yeah, that's
I've been
recent.
doing DJing for 30 years. So to
Mm,
me, it's like I don't know. It's just what I do. I'm not so much shook by the job of it. I definitely get shook when it's a big artist. I mean, I don't have the list in front of me, but some of the biggest gigs I've done, I'm sweating more because I truly want the artist to feel me. Like the best stories I could share with you guys are when there was an actual energetic exchange that took place at some point, usually after the show. Um, and when they like, how we feel good when we go into each other's streams
mhm.
and we can all admit that we like being seen. When someone says, I see you, or like my favorite is Alizé. Like when you go into Alizé's room and he throws up a hilarious video and he kind of brings his arms around you and lets you know, bro, I appreciate you being in here. That's what's up. And so that's super dope. And so the Twitch thing is new to me, but the real DJ, that's true, Neek.
What do you mean
That's true.
crunchy? What does crunchy mean?
She's saying you got to be so fresh, so clean. You got to make sure you're ready to be camera
Oh, she
ready.
always looks so fresh and clean, her
So
hair,
hey, actually,
wearing
I
like
want.
the tank tops and like working out. We can't all be like DJ Neek 10. Like
Oh, I'll take it a
like
step further.
we can't be like that. I wish
Hey,
we could,
Honey
but it
Flow,
doesn't work.
I expected one of your pimpy fedoras tonight.
Oh
And
yeah.
in your honor, I have pimpy fedoras.
Oh, you do.
Miss Riz is the queen of pimpy fedoras, and I wanted to wear one, but I knew I had to have my headphones on.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so
That
unless
well,
I
I
was gonna
switched it. I have
unless I
my
was gonna
fedora
do
here.
this, you know what I
I
mean?
didn't like how it looked with the top, but I do have the fedora. Do you have your fedora?
Not, I mean, in the closet, I got like 10 of them.
Oh. Oh, wow. Oh, we should
Yeah.
have worn them together.
Well, you know what I loved?
The
I loved
fedora.
when you and Lady G had the same one. Do you
I don't
remember?
I think we both had I didn't realize it was the same
You
one. I
both
don't
had a
remember.
purple one. It was
Oh, I
dope.
have so many. I don't
It,
remember.
it was beautiful. But I don't want to get us off track. I
Yeah.
defer to you.
No, that's okay. So, oh, I was going to ask you too, because I find this interesting. So, when you get booked with all these artists, you said it's about developing relationships. Is it like in San Francisco where you're booked through like a DJ agency, or I think you
No,
mentioned Fillmore, or like,
no,
or do you do it
no.
independently, or how does it work out there? I know in
Well,
Las Vegas, you have to get booked. There's no way you could just walk in and talk to people. You have to do it through an agency. So,
well,
how does it work?
we come because we were focusing on the artist stories. We didn't really get to my origin part of it.
Mhm.
It was all basically, I mean, training as a DJ. So before those
Mhm.
opportunities even came, before I was skilled enough to be asked to do them, and before I kind of share the nuts and bolts of how that stuff all works, you have to have put in those 10,000 hours, those 30,000 hours. I don't care if it's on turntables or now if it's on the Rev 7 or whatever. You have to be equipped and you have to have been in the dojo long enough to even be asked to be placed in that position. And so
Mhm.
I came up, it took a long time. I wasn't doing big shows until I had been a DJ for God, I mean, I even notated it earlier because I was trying to rattle the cobwebs out of my brain. Justin Johnson, who's in the chat, and myself, our first gig opening for an artist was at a smaller club in Berkeley, California for the reggae artist Ika Mouse. And we had been DJing. I mean, I don't even know if I would say professionally yet, but we had been DJing for a good 5, 6 years between bedrooms and parties and stuff. Um, One of the other things I thought about with if you were going to ask how I cut my teeth DJing, one of my main cutting teeth was rave culture was huge in the Bay Area. and in specific San Francisco. And I don't remember how exactly I fell into it, but I fell into a couple tribes where they would hire me to do the down tempo rooms, like the chill rooms. And then they would be banging the house and techno and all the other spots. And so I really cut my teeth on knowing how to beat match for those types of rooms because it was important. There was pressure. It was like you had to come correct. It was like people were paying music or paying money to come into these parties and hear music. And unfortunately, it was so fueled by drugs that the down tempo room was where people would go to kind of mellow out or come
Mhm.
down from whatever they were on. And so when I got that first gig with Justin, that was kind of my first taste of realizing how much I truly enjoyed opening for artists. And so it took a long, long time. I mean, I didn't pull it up to have on my phone to share with everyone, but like I think my first main run of those types of gigs didn't come until I had been DJing for gosh, maybe 15 years, maybe a little more. And then what I said about the relationships is we all know. I mean, how about even the unity and the congregation that we have here on Twitch? I think it's based on trust, right? So like I can read down the list of the people who are here right now. I've built up relations with Lisa and Wise Up and C Sharp and his wife. Shout out to Yo Yo Bay, and all these people where it's like we now have built a bit of a trust. And I'm not trying to embellish, but it's not that different. When you go to a venue and you crush the gig and you're not a lush and you're not sloppy and you're on time and you kill it, and trust that behind the scenes the artist management is talking about whether you did a good job or whether you effed it up. The
Mhm.
artists themselves is either really elated and excited at what you did, or they're like, I don't ever want to see that cat associated with us again. And so the same trust is built. So I never worked with the booking agency. I never worked with anything. Everything was self-driven. And honestly, I mean, as I looked up occasionally at the ticker, you know, Jamiroquai was kind of one of the more recent gigs. It's a little in the past now. It was 2018, but I went after that gig. I went after that gig like a hungry dog. And
Mhm.
I called the promoter who I'd worked with. It's a big promotion company in the Bay Area. And I literally, I shit you not, and I can share with the room, with you and my friends and Twitch fam, I pulled a Jedi mind trick. I literally called one of the heads of the company whose number I had directly. And I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know Jamiroquai is coming to town on this date and I'm going to be doing the show. Are we cool? It's literally how it happened. He
Wow. I
immediately
love that.
he
That is so
immediately
awesome.
he immediately responded with almost robotically. He's like, that sounds great. Let me see if I can get that done for you. And then hung up the phone.
Wow.
And then either he or I touch base back again with email. He's all, Josh, be looking in the newspaper and be looking on the internet. You're in. And I was doing backflips because Jamiroquai is one of my favorite artists. I've also told his drummer recently, since being on Twitch, Jamiroquai gets so much run in
Mhm.
these Twitch streets I would have never known. He doesn't get thank you. That's it, just exactly. He gets no run in real life. Like when I was DJing, we weren't hearing Jamiroquai from other DJs, but on Twitch, everyone's playing him.
Very
And so
underrated, I
so I've
feel.
sent that up the food chain. They're recording a new album right now. But anyway, so what that being said, so I was just so elated. He hadn't toured the United States in 15 years because globally, he's huge. Like
Mhm.
Jamiroquai plays arenas and giant outdoor festivals in Japan, in Italy, all throughout Europe. And the most he can, this is sad to say, but the most he could fill here is a few thousand seat venues. And I use this is the origin. I met Jay on that album when he was touring for first coming over to the US and trying to break the US. This was before Virtual Insanity because Virtual Insanity came the album after this. I'm getting long-winded, but the Jamiroquai story basically was I wanted the gig so bad because I'd grown up on his music. I had met him early on in his career. And so when I got to do the gig, I was so excited. And there was also, sorry to keep talking about it, but you asked.
No, I want to hear it.
It
Yeah.
was it was at a venue that myself and Jay Valencia and Justin Johnson, we would go to as kids.
Hmm.
It's called the San Francisco Civic Auditorium. Prince played there on 1999. I'll go on and on. But there were historic things there. There was my origin story when I first started DJing. Myself and the two people you see in the chat here, Jay Valencia and Justin Johnson, we all came up on our high school radio station together.
Hmm. Hmm.
And another way I found out how the music business works is I got up the chutzpah to start calling record labels as a 16-year-old working at the radio station. Like our radio station, you would lose it within a few miles. But I would get on the phone and they didn't know that. So I was like, yeah, I want to interview such and such. And can you send me the new albums from such and such? And I started gaining traction with that. So I
Oh, that's
won't get long winded other than to say in that era, I wanted to land an interview with Michael Hutchins of In Excess. And
awesome.
this is in the Kick era. They're huge. They're one of the biggest bands in the world. And so I called Atlantic Records and I'm like, yeah, my name is Josh. I'm with KSRH Radio 88.1 FM. And I'd very much like to see if I could get on the calendar or the docket to interview Michael Hutchins while you guys are in town. Next thing I know, they're like, yep, okay, so you're going to contact the road manager. Everything's set up and we'll see you at sound check or whatever it was. So the whole babbling about all this is so the ones that were most important, including the Jamiroquai, the NXS show was at that building in 1987. So to then be asked in 2018, all those years later, to DJ at that venue where those memories have been built, it was insane. It was like, and it does, and I'm not trying to sound weird about it, but it doesn't mean anything to anyone here. But to me, it was like Mount Rushmore. It was like, are you kidding? Like I'm DJing in here. Like I love Chris
Of
Cornell
course.
from Soundgarden, and the last performance in California he did was at that venue for a project called Temple of the Dog. So when I went to play for Jamiroquai, I had my Temple of the Dog shirt on to honor Chris because he had passed away by then. And I'm standing on stage right where he was. And so I'm not like a big starstruck dude, but yeah, thank you, Yuta.
Uta
I'll
K
shut up.
best. Yeah.
She nailed
No,
it.
that
She
yeah,
absolutely nailed
that's
it.
exactly what it is. She says, "I get it."
I
It's a
love you,
full
Yuta.
circle
Thank you.
moment, and it's true. It is. Those are really. That's such an amazing. Those are definitely amazing times.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so when you were at the station, was it community radio or
It was
commercial?
high school.
Yeah. Oh,
It
high
was our
school. High
high
school.
school
Yeah.
radio station.
Oh my gosh, you sound like me. I was totally
How
like that too.
how blessed were
Calling
we,
up
dude?
people. Yeah.
Margulis, what's up?
How you
Yo,
doing, Margulis? Good to see you.
how blessed were we? So yeah,
Yeah.
Justin Johnson in the chat, Jay Valencia in the chat, and myself, we were all there at this high
Wow.
school. I mean, I remember when you know how you would have an I don't know in Canada, but here in the States, you would go to a bit of an orientation when you would be graduating from middle school to high school.
Mhm.
Alize, I just called you out, bruh. Man,
Alizé, he's
cosmic.
got some cool stories too.
Cosmic. Alize, I was talking about how you welcome people into your room in such an organic way.
He
Huge
does,
salute.
he does. I love
And
it.
and let us know, man, how far along is wifey? He's about to be Papa again. So salute to Alize and his
Rich,
family.
gifted hands.
Yeah. So
Yes.
we were on the high school radio station. So we went for the orientation. You had the baby.
Oh,
Congrats.
wow, congrats.
Huge
You had the
congrats.
baby. Wow.
That's what's
Congrats
up.
to you, DJ
I have
Alizé.
to get my
Yeah.
binoculars out. Alize, is that you, Alize? I love you,
Yeah.
bro. Thank you.
You're gonna have to have babies running on your stream, Alizé. You're gonna have babies coming in the room now. Is that you? All the babies running
for
in.
sure. But so real quick, so we had an orientation graduating 8th grade, going into high school. And so we went to the orientation and they're like, okay, so it's going to be math, science, history, English, da 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 da. But then we have this thing called electives. And I'm like sitting there like, all right, what's an elective? And they're like, well, an elective can be athletics, or athletics can be theater, or it can be our radio station. You would have heard the across the record. I'm like, radio station? Like, I can choose that as a class in high school? I was like, say less. And so honestly, if I only had 5 minutes for you and you said, hey, how did you start DJing? That was the answer.
Oh, wow.
DJing on our radio station in high school. It taught us all of it,
It
all the
teaches you
beginning
a lot, even
foundations.
professionalism, right? It teaches you.
I had shout out to Tony Smith. I had a FCC license at 16.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so did
Wow.
Jay and so did Justin.
Yeah. Did you ever work like so then did you continue radio like after high school, like
I
for any
really
stations?
will
Because
check
you
it
have
out.
the voice. You really do have the MC,
I
the host
appreciate that.
voice.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I
It's
never
like
worked on it.
very
Tony's got it.
smooth.
Tony's got it like me. There's Tony. Just saying. I'm just saying.
Oh,
Let,
Tony from Retro? Is
yeah,
it Retro?
let,
Oh yeah,
yes. Let
he's
Tony.
got the voice too.
Tony. Let's let it. We
Out
had to
of the
let it.
ladies, Ms. Riz has the voice.
We had to let it marinate.
Yeah.
Let it marinate,
He
people.
definitely has the voice. Retro, he's got such a great
Tony,
voice.
man, I love Tony. Okay, but yeah, CJ's co-signing. Just saying. Red, what's happening? Okay, so what had happened was, so I really wanted to continue in radio. Unfortunately, I took radio, music, cutting classes, going to the beach, being in nature, and
Mhm.
smoking a lot of weed, way more serious than my academia.
Oh,
And
man.
so there were two beautiful colleges that had radio stations. One was UC Berkeley in
Mhm.
Berkeley, and one was in SF. Berkeley's was KUSF at University of San Francisco. I literally, there's my man Rhino. We were talking about you. I literally went to both of those stations. I was not a student at either college, and I was wiggling my way in any way I could. I was like, I don't care if I go on at 3 in the morning. I don't care if I intern. I was really because basically to answer you, I really wanted to pursue radio. I found it extremely fulfilling, but I
Mhm.
wasn't in the colleges. And so it didn't really happen that way. And kind of my concession prize is I began interning for record labels instead. So I was an intern at my first one was RCA BMG that I started interning for in like 1989. I then later on, BMG, yeah, I know BMG RCA was 89 because Tribe's first album was being promoted. I could not, no one will believe me, I could not give away the first single from Tribe's first album was I Left My Wallet in El Segundo.
Oh, I just played that
We
yesterday.
had boxes of them. And my job was to service the DJs and go to record stores to make everyone aware of this great new band, Tribe Called Quest, and their first single. I'm telling you, people were not feeling it. They were
What?
like, yeah, they didn't want it. They were like, I don't want this,
Really?
you know?
That's
And so
shocking.
that's how I know that time capsule. And then I remember in 94, I only remember because of specific albums. In 94, I started interning and working at Capitol Records. And I know that because that's when the Beastie Boys were putting out Ill Communication. The Foo Fighters were putting out their first album, and Radiohead was putting out their first album. No
Mhm.
one believes me, but there were giant rectangular cassette boxes where I think you'd fit 25 or 30 cassettes in a row in the box. I had copies of Radiohead The Bends, the first album, could not give it away.
Really?
Nobody wanted it.
Wow.
But so I share that to put it in the gumbo of my origin story because it was another view of how the industry works, how the
Yeah.
radio machine works, how servicing DJ works, how having relationships with the record store owners works, how oftentimes as interns we'd be sent to a venue to plaster all the promotional posters and material at the concert that night. So
Mhm.
all these things kind of merged together as one. So
Yeah.
Twitch is my new radio.
For
That's why
sure, it
that's
is.
why I love it.
It's not just radio, you're producing an entire show, right? It's
You
almost
are.
a TV show.
You are
Oh, you are
producing.
too. Oh, anyone that's a streamer is doing that, right? We've learned so much. We should all seriously be proud. Sometimes we're just like, "Oh man, I haven't done this." I just had a private conversation with him on a few things, that
Who are we speaking of?
like you like
Oh,
earlier, right? But
yeah.
what I'm saying, like as a streamer or a DJ, I think we could become perfectionists, like where we're always looking to do things better and we're not satisfied sometimes with things the way we are. But we got to look at like, okay, we've learned audio, visuals, green screens, OBS, software, hardware. TV production, photography, like how to work a camera. We've learned a lot of different stuff,
You know
to do
what's
a talk
hilarious?
show.
Right in the chat right now, you have one of the best producers. Yeah, I was just calling you out. See, C Sharp. I'm always trying to cut up and make him laugh in his
Mhm.
stream. And only recently have I learned how many hats he is wearing during him and Yo Yo Bay's shout out to the
Yeah, they
basement.
do a great show,
The
and it's
basement
a unique
Sunday night.
show.
Sunday night. C
And
Sharp put it
yeah,
in the chat, bro.
and look
So
how many big things are happening for them. They got on the Tamron Hall. Man, I love that woman, Tamron Hall, like,
speak
show.
directly to him. Take it away,
Yeah,
Honey Flo.
yeah,
I
I was
love him.
like no, but that's amazing, like, and also writing and publishing a book and not knowing how to even, like, really write or publish a book, that's amazing, right? I think his goal was at selling, what was it, 10,000 copies or
He's
getting up to
here. I'll
10,000?
I'll I'll let him speak for
So
himself.
DJ C Sharp, drop it in the chat where you're at with,
I can
selling.
I
I
can
did buy your book, by the way, I still have to read
Rhythm of
all of
Love.
it. Yeah. So
I can say that they had a huge victory recently.
mhm.
Uh, he made a goal. They wanted to go to Kev on Stage's studio down in Southern California and
Oh, amazing.
tick that box. They achieved
Wow.
that. So yeah, I
We're
mean,
gonna need their autographs pretty soon, guys. We're gonna need their
no,
autographs.
we just need
Uh,
to go. We just need to go eat with them. Their food
exactly. And
they
there's
make
people
good
that
food.
do big things, like Derek T. He got on the Ellen DeGeneres show. He's an actor out of California, a great dancer, the most unique dancer I've seen. He got on Ellen show a little while ago, and his video went viral. So you never know. Like, even Twitch sometimes can feel like small beginnings for any streamer. And if you're doing it full time, a little bit more pressure, but like, you never know, these humble beginnings could lead you into bigger things, right? Whether you have a small room or a large room.
I mean,
And
I'm
these guys
learning.
are, like DJ C Sharp and Chanel B and all these amazing people we've met on Twitch. Like, look at the opportunities coming, right?
Well,
So,
that's what I'm hoping. My
mhm,
good friend Justin Johnson asks me regularly, "Hey man, what are your goals on Twitch?"
mhm.
And I've been so soulfully fulfilled with just being in these rooms with fellow music lovers and music curators
Yeah.
that I haven't really taken a step back to ask. The only goal I made is because I'm not really on social media and because coming to Twitch was something brand new to me, I just knew that, as you could tell from my stories and my experience, 30 years, pedigree, all that stuff, I wanted to be taken seriously. I didn't want to come on to Twitch and not have my whole DJ origins and experience go to waste.
Mhm.
And so I'm still not caught up in any number. I really am not. I mean, Candy B, when I go live, Candy's one of the first people there. And if no one else came and it was just me and Candy vibing and playing music as if she was right next to me, I'm fine with that. Like
Yeah,
real talk.
that's
But
awesome.
but the goal was, I said, okay, I feel like 1,000 people is at least a reputable enough number that
That's huge.
if a booking agent or if a peer DJ or if someone was spying, like, okay,
Mhm.
Funklor's on Twitch now, I just wanted it to have enough weight behind it to know that I'm not new to this. I'm new to Twitch, but I'm not new to this. And so I just crossed that Sunday night. And so that
Awesome.
was like a big deal.
Congratulations.
So yeah, and that's all. That's
And
my only
there's
goal.
gonna
I
be
don't know.
so
I have
much
to set
more.
a
Like,
new one.
yeah, you literally just started, like, in December. It's gonna keep continuing to grow, So, I
As
can't
long as
wait
it
to
don't
see that
die.
journey, like
As long as it don't die. I'm getting
no.
scared it might die.
No, no, it's not gonna die.
Oh,
You
it's
just started.
no,
It's
not
not gonna
me.
do
I'm talking about the
Oh,
platform.
yeah.
I don't know what's about to happen. We'll have to see. I might
Well,
go back to
yeah, we'll have
guerrilla
to
radio.
yeah, we'll have to see with the whole DJ I'm not worried about it. Thank you so much, Tilt, for those 100 bits. Appreciate you. Appreciate you,
That's what's
Tilt.
up.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Can I have a moment to take the focus off me and put it on you? Can
Mm,
everyone admit
we
that
could
Honey
put you back
Flow
on you. It's
No,
okay.
Honey Flow is dope. Honey
Aw,
Flow
thanks.
curates an amazing vibe in her room. Honey Flow has interviewed a whole bunch of us and will continue to interview a whole bunch more of us. It's a dedication that you're making. I know I'm not putting anyone's business out there. It's not like you're hugely financially compensated. You're doing it because you want to. And I just wanted a moment to tell you that we feel that. And
Aw,
that's
thank
super
you.
dope. and you don't have to, and you do, and that's dope.
I appreciate you're like the first one that's actually said that on my show. So thank you. I really do appreciate that.
It's
The
true.
words
It's
and
true.
even just like encouraging me like before uh some of the things he said on the show, guys, like I was like, wow, this is the week that you need to hear that, you know? So thank
We
you.
got you. We
Appreciate
just
it.
want your landlord to kick rocks.
Ah, yeah, I know, right? I
I'll
gotta
say
always
that
keep
too.
it low. I gotta move. I gotta
A
move.
quick PSA: if you're ever on Honey Flow stream and she can't use the mic, it ain't because she don't want to. How about
Yeah.
that?
But
How
that's
about
probably good. I'm sure a lot of mods and people would appreciate me not yapping. So I'm then I can concentrate on the music. So I like sometimes just doing 5 hours of just playing music, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So I don't mind that. But thank you. I appreciate that you guys really do. And so many interesting stories, so many people. Wow, over 200 people. And lots of people have come and gone. 7 people have passed away actually on
Mhm,
my show, which is crazy.
mhm.
Uh, my first interview, my first talk show with Crazy Barry's husband. So I don't just
Oh,
take
really?
yeah,
Oh,
Tim.
I'm now new fam with CBT, and when I
Yeah,
heard that
she's amazing.
story,
Yeah.
it broke my heart. So I didn't know
Yeah.
that you interviewed him. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
they were like my first interview, and
Oh, that's so
uh,
dope.
Tim's a guy that like I swear I'll never forget. Like I won't forget him because he said some stuff, and me and my friends were talking about it after. Whoa, he gave so much advice to singles and being married, and just their story was beautiful, right? And still is. So yeah, I never take small beginnings for granted.
Hey, our
You know,
big brother, Big Stove, tells us every week, love on your people.
yes, it's
Love
so
on
true.
your people.
Yeah, because
You know,
you don't know what people are going through, and it's not just a DJ show, like I said, you're gonna find that out, like, you start building real relationships with people, but, like, a lot of people in our chat, you don't know what they're going through, they could be the life
absolutely.
of the party, but then, like Steph One Love, you know, be the life of the party, but you don't know, what people are going through personally, they could be in a hospital, they could be very sick, and you could be bringing joy through your stories and your music. So I think that's a good way to just ground you, you know, like
You know,
before getting caught up with the numbers and
I
all this
speak to
stuff
that.
we
I
do,
speak to
right?
that. I speak to
Yeah.
that every week. I speak to that because we don't know each other's backstories. While my brother Tony Smith, Retro Soul, is still in here, he is a very talented and accomplished musician, having nothing to do with his amazing musical curation, his vibe, his loving tribe that he has weekly, especially huge shout out to Friday and Saturdays over on his station. Um, and so he whipped out his sax recently during the stream. And it's like everyone, I don't want to say we're filling in the blanks, but let's just be honest. We don't know each other's life stories.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
the reason I was so excited to be on your show is because no one's really captured my oral history before.
Mhm.
And what I really wanted, the reason a lot of these people came in this evening is because I wanted them to get a more well-rounded picture of who I am, because I thought, I don't want to sound cheesy, but I thought it would bring us closer, you
Yeah.
know? Um,
No,
and
it's
th-
true. Yeah.
and that's really important to me. It's actually super duper important to me. And I have to believe that the reason these people are coming to spend time with me is the same reason I'm coming to spend time with them. There
Mhm.
really is Stoves talks about the fellowship. There truly is a fellowship. I definitely have FOMO that I didn't have this fellowship during Rona, during COVID. I would have been elated, and I think I would have been touching even more people than I'm able to now because of the viewership, because I have to believe the viewership is way down from when it was in 2020, 21.
Mhm.
Um, but so I just am so appreciative that I can share with these new friends and fam how much they're appreciated, and for them to get a little more backstory into how I became where I am here. You know,
Yeah, and I'm honored that like you came on my show and you know like like a lot of people that do talk shows, guys. You got to get DJ Funklor on your show. I'm serious. Tweak, where are you? All the other guys
well,
that do
that'll
talk
come.
shows. Yeah, all
That'll
the other
come.
guys that do talk shows, they
Don't
definitely.
worry. Kova's only about to interview the CEO again and get grilled. So I'm
Yeah,
sure I'm way
exactly.
down the pipe. But I will say I'm really excited for Yuta, for Utica Best. Her and I are both part of a wonderful weekly raid train put on by Rootsman and Melissa Dawn called Catch a Fire Friday. It's a reggae Well, not, I wouldn't limit it to just reggae, but a main emphasis is reggae music, which I know
Mm-hmm.
you love, Honey Flo, which I get
Yes.
excited when you're playing reggae and Afro beats. I get really excited. And Yuta, I'll let her speak for herself, but I believe she said that her participation, part of it is going to be to interview the selectors on that train.
Oh,
And
that's dope.
I'm really excited about it because it's going
Yeah.
to give you more flushed out version of who these people are. And I
Yeah, for
think
sure. That's
I'm all
amazing.
I'm all for that. Like if I could know more about
And
Honey Flow,
Uta K Best is very original. Like you're not going to find another replica of her, which is
and you know
amazing.
what I love? She's cut from the same cloth a lot of us are, which is telling it how it is. Like when
Hmm.
I was rambling a minute ago and Yuta said it's this and put it out there, she nailed it. And
Yeah.
she operates with that. Riz operates with that. It's like I guess I'm rambling to say I love that our community wants to know more about each other and wants to share. I mean, a lot of these folks just got together for a meetup at OMU, which
Nice.
I really wanted to be at.
OMU, the Ohio? Was it the Ohio
Correct.
meetup? Okay,
Correct. The
nice.
Ohio
Yeah,
meetup with
that
Kelly
looks really
Vision
good.
and Rel and
Yeah.
Vader and D-Man and Stove and Riz presented there this year, and I very much
Hmm.
wanted to be
Nice.
there. Like it was hurting my soul to not be there.
Yeah.
And I'm really going to try and make it happen. Unfortunately, I do a lot of weddings for my professional DJ part, so summer's a bad time for me to try and get
Hmm.
places. Um, but when fall comes and when winter comes, I'm at least going to make sure I want to get out to the DMV and see Candy and see Yo-Yo and see C. I'd love to get to Toronto. I mean, to
Yes, you
kind of
got to come.
tie it all together, my hope, if I did have a goal that's kind of coming to me right now, I would love nothing more than to go to these places and DJ.
Yeah.
I don't even need to make a lot of money if I could just break even with the plane ticket and, a hotel or a friend's couch. I mean, whatever. I'm not a diva about it,
Yeah,
but I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
for sure. How you doing, DJ Ron Love? I just met him this weekend too with Father Damian and a bunch of other guys, Music
I
Spasms.
saw you with spasms. That's
Yeah,
dope.
everyone came in for the Scratch Bastard event. Tons of people, Sight Giver. So it was just like a fast, very quick meetup. And we
Yeah.
were at Father Damian's church, and he was showing us his 10 rooms. He's got like 10 controllers. It's ridiculous, like how much DJ gear this guy has.
That's awesome.
So it was pretty cool. I just want to thank you guys. I noticed too earlier on a hype train. Thank you guys so much. Tilt Junior. I'm just looking on another computer. So if you see my
No, do your
eyeballs
thing.
moving, it's because I'm looking at different things. Margulis, DJ Neek 10. Wow. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Miss P. Smitty, Rich Gifted Hands, and Wise Up. I always say
Wise
it
up.
wrong. Wise Up.
So
Wise Up.
so Wise up
Appreciate
is
it. Thank you guys
well. Here's
so
what's
much.
dope. Wise up and Yuta are
Mhm,
squad.
mhm.
So they mod with each other. They do their programs with each other. Also, huge shout out to 713. I call her Seven, and they have a beautiful squad of people. Margulis comes from a beautiful squad of people. Margulis, High Note,
She's a dope DJ.
Audio One, who you've had. One and Only B just came through. I
Mhm,
asked her to come through and she did. So all these pocket communities. Some people have kind of loosely nicknamed me the connector,
mhm.
and especially on here, Rhino with the OGV squad, like Max Jerome, DJ R Train, Rhino. Um, I know I'm forgetting a few, but like the other night, I raided over to Max Jerome because I was like, "Yo, I want to show love to people who are showing love to me," and just continuing to mix that around. So I'm very unselfish with sharing that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Yo,
DJ
Ron, salute.
T-Rel
T-Rel,
says
salute.
he's a big fan of you as well.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Ooh, okay, let's see. I'm looking at Ron's question. You might have come in later. I think we covered. Let's see. Um, let's see. I'm just trying to read this. Funklor, what is the thing that the famous acts you've played for look oh, that's a great question. Look for in a DJ.
Well, again, I appreciate the question. First of all, salute to you. It goes back to what I was saying a little bit about, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to get up here and say, oh, these national and international acts are calling my phone direct. A
Hmm.
lot of it comes from those same cultivated relationships. And so, what will oftentimes happen is a touring act. Let's just talk about these touring mechanisms. They'll come in. Sometimes they are an all encompassing unit. They've got their DJ, they've got their opening act, they know what they're doing, and they travel as a mob. Other times, those things aren't filled in. And so if an artist is coming into Oakland or coming into San Francisco, if they're at one of the venues that I have a relationship with, I'm probably on a very short list of whom they may call. I remember it wasn't that long ago, I got a call to open for Ty Dolla Sign.
Hmm.
And I really liked Ty Dolla's music, but I knew that his audience skewed way lower than the music that I was currently kind of involved in listening to. I'm not a mainstream cat. I don't really follow mainstream music enough to keep my job, but not enough to like be well versed. Like the names that are scrolling across, I'm well more equipped to DJ for those types of artists than say artists that are 30 and under or 25 and under. So I was
Hmm.
a little nervous with the Ty Dolla Sign gig, and I talked to the promoter and I said, "Hey, are you sure?" I mean, this just to give you guys full transparency. I said, "Are you sure you don't want a more up and coming, more peer oriented DJ to do this particular show because he or she may be way more well equipped to do what needs to be done at this gig?" And they said, "No, we had a conversation with him and his management, and they specifically asked for you."
Wow.
So
Nice.
I was like, bet. I mean, it felt good, but I'm not going to lie. I was still like, you asked if I get nervous. I was way more nervous about that.
Hmm.
But that actually came from my only horror story. With all the acts that I've ever DJ'd for, I have one horror story. Only one, which is pretty
Spill the
big.
tea. Spill the
Oh,
tea.
I'll spill the frigging tea. I was hot.
I love it.
So
You're the only guy that really, really, truly, no offense to the other people I've interviewed, but they'll kind of fluff it. You make it nice and they
no,
won't say the real tea. But I like
I want the
I like
warts and
how
all.
you are. You're really telling us the tea on some of these artists,
Well, isn't that no? It's not tea on them. It's just
or
telling what
just
the
in general, which I
it's
like.
also it's telling what the experiences actually were, right?
Exactly.
Like you and
Yeah.
I
I
knew each
appreciate
other.
that.
We knew each other from each other's rooms, but like when you were reading the resume, I could tell that you were like, "Whoa, okay, this guy's done some stuff." And so when people look at the resume, it all seems hype and glitzy and cool, but there's
Hmm.
truly steps that it took to do each one of those. And I don't want to lose
Yeah.
the thread on Ron's question, but like,
Mhm.
so basically what ended up happening, what had happened was Tony Smith, one of the venues that I again had a relationship with is called the Regency Ballroom in San Francisco, and it's a frigging dump. I hate
Mhm.
it. It's just a big bouncy acoustic room. The sound is garbage in there.
Oh,
I DJ'd for the Roots in there a couple times, and Quest hated it because the drums were just smacking all throughout the whole room. It's just not a good vibe spot. So I already didn't really want to be there as far as my choice of venue. So I get a call. Again, it was a fairly last minute call. Believe it or not, a lot of these are last or later minute calls.
wow.
And only some are planned in advance from my perspective or like my involvement. And so I they called and they said, "Hey, can you come DJ the show we have coming down? It's this R&B act." Da, da, da. I'm like, "Well, just tell me who it is." They're like, "Tamar Braxton."
Ooh.
Now, at the time, I only knew her from that raggedy reality show that she
Oh,
was on.
yeah, yeah.
This was like 12 years ago or something like that.
Raggedy,
It was janky.
I'm
It was
trying to
something
remember which raggedy what reality show was it,
I
guys?
don't even
I have
care.
Flavor Flav that come to mind, but that's not she wasn't on that show.
No.
What
I
show
don't
was that?
I think it was a show about her family, if I'm not
Oh, the
mistaken. I think it was
Braxtons. The
yeah.
Braxtons.
But
Everyone's
so
laughing in the chat.
I don't even want to lose any energy on it. It was
Yeah.
whack. And so basically
Mhm.
what ended up happening is I had
I
DJ'd
watched it.
I had DJ'd this room plenty of times. I've DJ'd for a lot of R&B artists and a lot of soul artists. So my confidence, I'm like, okay, it's Tamar Braxton. You're the inferior singing sister. Like,
Mhm.
if it was Tony Braxton, I would have been excited. Like,
Mhm.
Tony's legit. But the illegitimate stepchild with the bad weave who can't sing her way out of a box, not really my thing. So
Ooh,
anyway,
ouch. Oof.
Sorry. Anyway, so I found that I'm doing what I normally do. I hadn't changed anything. I was definitely, I skewed, like Ron, I skewed the music towards what I thought her audience would want to vibe to, and was just trying to curate a vibe. And apparently, apparently what had happened, Tony Smith, what had happened was people were there. I didn't know this. I only learned it later. But what I found out immediately that night was they were there for her celebrity. They weren't
Oh.
there to experience the amazing vocal stylings of the legendary Tamar Braxton. And
Hmm.
so they started friggin' booing me.
Oh, shoot. They
I
start
ne-
booing you?
Man, I've DJ'd at Red Rocks in front of 10,000 people sold out. I've DJ'd in Golden Gate Park for 20,000, 30,000 people. Like, I'm not trying to sound cocky because I'm not, but getting booed is not something that's ever really happened to me. So at first, because I'm in the mix and I'm hearing these boos like coming strong. And I'm like, there's no way they're booing me. Something must have happened. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, something happened. I don't know what happened, but it has nothing to do with me. So these boos continue.
Oh,
I'm
shoot.
cutting it. I'm cutting in the next record. I'm playing the next record. I'm like, okay, you're booing me. I'll win you over with the next track. Like, I didn't take it so much personally. I just wanted to get the train back on the right track because keep in mind what I shared an hour ago. My job, which I take very seriously, is to set a vibe in the room. So if the audience is displeased with me, I want to win them back. I don't
Hmm.
want to make them mad. I want to like get it on the right part so that we can have a successful event. It's not about me, it's about Tamar. They paid money to see her. I'm
Yeah.
just an afterthought. So to get to the chase, so I'm trying all these different records. I'm playing Music Soul Child. I'm playing, females, other females. But see, here's the nuance. You don't want to play too many female artists at a female show. I got huge dap.
Really?
Oh, I got huge dap from Badu, huge dap from Zap Mama, huge dap from Jill Scott for not hitting that lane too hard. Because let's be honest, they have egos. It's like
Hmm.
if Jilly is about to hit the stage, you don't want to play a whole bunch of other female
That's
peers.
true, actually. I noticed
You
that
know?
amongst women, you would think we would be more collaborative and more together and cheer each other on. But I'm kind of seeing the opposite in this industry very quickly
Well, I don't
with
I don't know.
women, a little bit sometimes,
I
you
don't
know.
I don't I don't want to say that that's
Hmm.
a fact. I can only speak to my individual experience at these shows. But
Yeah, that's interesting.
to end the whole exactly pivot. I was trying. So basically to end the story of my worst public gig ever is these boos just it was almost like an athletic event where the boos came
Oh,
from the
man.
back and just kept rolling closer and closer to me. See, love, I didn't
Wow.
see you slide in. Huge love. So what ended up happening was these boos, like the whole audience at that point turned on me.
Oh, that's crazy.
I could not get them back. I mean, I was playing like radio bangers at the time. Like, all right, get off me. Like I was trying to shake them off me. I was just like, all right, let me go ahead and win them back so that because I mean, listen, speaking of the relationships, I wanted to play at this venue again. I didn't want to be known as the DJ that got booed off stage that night. That doesn't help me
Mhm,
at all. So I'm
mhm.
like, let me right the ship. Let me make sure this doesn't wipe out. So I came from behind the deck. I'm almost never on the microphone at any of these performances because it's not about me. I sometimes will get on the mic to like hype people up a little bit. And especially when you're looking to the stage manager is going to let you know, hey, they're on in 5 or they're on in 10. So you know the right records to play to really give it the extra push it needs to build up the excitement right before showtime. But so I came from behind the booth. I grabbed the mic. I got to the front of the stage like I was the star that night. And I said, listen, I don't know what's up with y'all. I know you didn't come to see me. I'm trying to show you guys a good time. I don't understand what the booing's about. Am I not playing the right kind of music to put you in the mood? Or, and I, pardon my cursing, Honey Flo, I respect that you're a religious
No,
woman.
it's okay,
I,
it's
I
okay. Go
literally
ahead.
said, I said, you can shut the fuck up because she ain't
Wow.
coming on any sooner because of me. I'm not
Mm,
standing in the way of the show that you want to see. And what I learned in that moment for real what I learned was they were a younger skewing generation that wanted the
Oh.
show to start. It wasn't
Oh.
about me at all.
Oh,
It was a
shoot, and you got on the mic and said that?
so I'll give you the mic drop was so like remember how Snoop got on the mic at the Source Awards East Coast?
Yes. Oh
He's like
my
the East
gosh.
Coast don't have love for the West. You
I
don't have
remember
love for
that.
Snoop Dogg. I was on that shit.
And then when you say that, you're ramping up the audience to even boo you even harder.
So here's what happened. So I was like, really? I was like, she ain't coming on any sooner just because you're mad at me. I'm like, we can turn it over to the front of house guy and he can play some music and y'all can fuck off. And then I got, hold up. One of my musical heroes is this group right here.
Uh-huh.
And I got in my friggin' Run DMC battle pose.
Oh my gosh.
Got up.
You have your shell toe shoes on?
No,
You have
I'm just telling it how it is. I went and I got in my Run DMC stance and I said, fuck y'all, I'm out.
Oh, dang. Yeah. Well, we'll see if this episode makes YouTube, guys. But
sorry. You should have warned me of that. I definitely wanted to. Darn it.
No, it's okay. It's going to YouTube and Facebook.
Literally, I went immediately to the people paying me and I said, yo, I don't know if you just witnessed what happened. I had a whole room mob on me and I didn't handle it the best way I could have. There's nothing I can do to satisfy these people unless you're going to get the diva, the inferior stepsister to get on stage right now. I don't know what you're going to do with them.
Well, how long did she take though? Like how long was she didn't take as long as Lauryn Hill, as long as her.
No, it wasn't that. It was just they were this younger generation at the time that was like, it says on the ticket, it's 9 o'clock. So I want her on stage.
Or maybe they were young and they wanted more like crunk and ratchet and kind of like more hype, like twerking type of music because they're young, right? But some of you old people in here want that too. So I don't know.
That goes to
all of you old people in here want that as well. So
I'm mad though because I do want this to be on YouTube. So I hope you can figure out a workaround.
Don't worry. No, it's all good. I want people to be themselves. Like I don't want people.
Well, I also wanted
to come on my show.
I also wanted to respect you. I know you're a church going woman, so I wanted to.
I'm not. No one. Just because you are doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you need the man above to help you. Doesn't mean you're perfect.
Let's put it this way: Justin Johnson knows that I got a real bad, dirty mouth. So anyway,
yours says I'm old and ratchet. So then,
it's after that I told a nightmare story because it gives you a whole
I love that story because everyone always showcases their victories and highlights, but I love sitting down and hearing these stories because it shows that it could happen to anyone. It doesn't matter like how big a venue is or how many grand things they've done. I mean, I've interviewed so many guys and they talk about getting booed off stage. And like, for example, Jay Online talked about that. He's the #1 producer in the entire world for dancehall edits. He's the only one in the world doing it. And he's doing big things out here and across the world. Like a white guy that is really heavy into dancehall, if you check out his shows. But he talks about, I remember that in the interview, he talks about getting booed off, being kind of like the white guy playing dance hall, being totally booed off stage. So
I'll reel back the F-bombs because that story's over. But that's happening. That's happening to someone right now.
Yeah.
On our Catch a Fire Friday reggae raid trains done by Rootsman and Melissa Dawn, there's an amazing DJ on there named DJ Rich. And he's dope. And he gets on a lot of time. I don't want to pigeonhole him, but he gets on often expressing that he gets hated on because of his pigmentation, that he's playing an African and Jamaican art form. Oh man.
No, Cheryl Squad just bugs me. Don't worry. It's all good.
Someone's got to help. You got to make an edit for me or something.
I don't know how to edit anything. That's okay. Let's see here.
But anyway, so that happens. The haters are there.
Exactly. So then I'm just curious after that. Okay, so you went all West Coast on them, like Snoop Dogg.
I'm mad. I'm mad now. I ruined the moment now.
Was it the Source Awards where he's like, "You got a problem with the West? You got a problem. You got a problem with the West Coast." Well, I can't do it, but you know what I mean.
It was serious.
Yeah, that was actually serious. I still remember that. How many years? 30 years later? I remember that. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to cause like a country like the West and the East Coast war. Like this is bad,
Oh,
when
it was a huge spark of it for
yeah,
sure. But
for sure.
to get out of the negative part of it, what I
Mhm.
really just wanted to share is there's those two, right? But I had never had that happen to me. And I think
Mhm.
the reason why I got all braggadocious and Run DMC and mad was because it's what I know how to do. And I'd done it so well for all these other years and shows and experiences that to have an audience turn on me that vehemently,
Yeah.
I felt a way. I was like, what? Like, what do you want me to do right now? And I have to believe, as I was getting paid in the office, I heard the chirps of the house music. Because keep in
Mhm.
mind, there was no music played. They're scrambling, trying to figure out how to not have dead silence as a dude just talked all this mess and left stage. So I'm sitting in the side office getting paid, and I still don't hear music. She still didn't come on for an extra half hour. And
Wow.
I didn't care. I was sitting in the office like, yeah, that's what y'all get.
And did the
Enjoy.
team or anyone say anything to you or no? You just
I got my
no?
money and I did three things.
You're so
Got
lucky you got your money, man, because a lot of
got my
times it
money.
doesn't happen.
No, here's how it went. Got my money,
Mhm.
made sure my relationships were cool. I
Yeah.
didn't want to leave without apologizing. I owned it. I said,
Wow.
"Hey, I'm really, really sorry that I snapped like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I was getting blatantly disrespected. I could have handled it better. I want to be back." And luckily I have and was, but like that's the relationship component.
Yeah.
I had to own and hold the L and be like, yo, my bad. Where's my bread? Make sure we're cool. Apologize to the sound man. Apologize to the people working there. And I was out.
Well, at least you did that. And it's hard. I think there's a lot of pressure on a DJ to make everything happen and people blame you for the littlest things, right? So, I think there is a lot of pressure and sometimes things could be misinterpreted when you get people's reactions. Like people love you, then they're angry at you if you play one song they don't like. Like it's just like, man, give the DJ a break. Like you
How
tried to get
about
in front of thousands of people
how
trying to
about
make it
an
work.
how about an acoustic space that is massive? It's not big in
Mhm.
capacity. I think it's like
Yeah.
1,500 people or 1,700 people. So
Mhm.
if you have like, let's just say a gymnasium, a giant wood gymnasium, and you're hearing 1,000 boos in unison, I dare any DJ to not be affected. You're gonna be affected.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But let's
Yeah,
go on to glory. Let's do a
yeah,
glory story
exactly.
instead.
Yeah, DJ Ron Love, I think we covered his worst gigs, like, earlier on. You're gonna have to check the
I
replay.
wasn't there, Ron. I wasn't there, but I'll tell you what, I've never seen her come back to the Bay again. I can tell you that.
Huh. Wow,
She
really?
don't have a career. What career does
Well,
she have?
I think she sings better than J Lo. That's my
All right,
opinion.
let's not go down this wormhole.
Oh, no, okay. Yeah, well, I do. I mean, but yeah. I mean, Toni Braxton is the ultimate out of the
Tony's
Braxton sisters.
legend for sure.
Yeah, she definitely is. Wow. So if you guys have any questions, drop them any last minute questions. I don't want to take too much of your time. Are you okay for
Oh,
a
I'm
little
hoping we'll
bit?
go longer. I feel like we
Okay.
skipped a whole bunch of the story, but that's just
Okay.
because we got into all these other great things.
No, there's just so many stories to cover, that's for sure. So if
Let's
you
talk
guys
about Twitch. I want to get people's perspective on Twitch because that's what I'm
Mhm.
new to. We
Mhm.
can talk about everything I have done. I'd like to know what people's own experiences are on Twitch. I'd love your journey. I mean, I'm not going to pivot to directly you to put you on the spot, but I mean,
Mhm.
Twitch is its own animal. It's its own ecosystem. It's its own thing, and I'm still trying to find my way. It's like I'm kind of clumsily going through it. It's only the support of the people who have been rallying behind me and telling me that they are enjoying what I'm doing that's making me want to get up every Monday to do it. But even recently, like I'm asking myself, hey, should I be planning my shows more? Or should I just continue to vibe and do it organically the way I am?
I think
You
doing
know,
it like the way you want it, I don't think anyone could tell because each show is so different. So I know I used to have DJs always tell me, don't do this, don't talk about mental health, don't do this, don't do that. If you do a talk show with it, it's not gonna work with the DJ thing. Stay in your lane with the DJ thing. Don't be putting up TikToks. And it's interesting because all the things they told me to not do, I've done, but then it's also like TikTok reels, Instagram reels. That's all people ever watch, right? So the very thing that people think is ridiculous is the very thing that actually works. So I think my best advice is just be who you are. Like if you feel like just doing an organic show, which you probably could do,
That's
you
pretty much
know,
all I do.
yeah, so then that's cool. That is you, right? If you feel like doing, I know other DJs that plan out all their shows for raids and do certain things and are very particular, like they won't switch from the DJ thing to something different like crafting, or I mean there's so many different people on here, right? Talk shows, crafters, gamers, fitness shows, like I just feel like just bring out your personality, whatever that may be, and people will gravitate and love that. Like, look at Big Stove. He's got an original show, Alizé. He's the only guy that does it on Twitch that welcomes people the way he does, right? I mean, I could say stuff about every single person in this room, like Retro, of course, has that voice and
Absolutely.
that radio kind of unique voice. Ms. Riz is the only one that does a unique, different show that you know that no one else is replicating that, right? So yeah, I just say just be who you are. There's gonna be no DJ Funklor, you know, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. You're producing your own TV show, your world, right? So
Yeah.
if you want to talk all the way through it, like your stories are so interesting that like it's great that you play music, but I would love to hear you maybe even branch off like a droopy, you know how he puts on an instrumental and he just shares a story.
Oh, for real?
Your
I haven't
story,
checked.
yeah. You got a great voice. Your stories are fascinating. Like I think people would be very intrigued by listening to some of these. Like, were you guys intrigued today listening to and learning more about DJ Funklor? Like,
Except for the end.
I dropped some ones
I'm
in the
still,
chat.
I'm still mad about the
No, I
cursing at
love
the
how
end.
you're no, it's okay. I love how you're so honest. Like you've probably been the first guest that really is like, say it how it is. And I love that.
Well, isn't that
Oh
the
no.
way? Isn't
Who
that
we
the way
got?
to? That's the way to do it, right? I mean, it's
Who we
like
got in the building? Who we got? You
what?
guys. We got someone in the building. DJ Van Stel.
What's
we
up,
always banter each other a little too much. How you doing, Van Stel? Make sure you guys are adding Van Stel in the
I
room.
have to ask. Have
I mean,
you
there's
had?
only one squirrel on Twitch, DJ Van Stel, the only guy that will roast you to the bottom of the ground. He's the only guy to do it. There's no one else. But I will say that if I pulled out my full roast, which I haven't yet, I know I can roast him out of the ballpark. But anyway, sorry,
No, I like
that's a
that.
side
We're getting,
subject thing.
spicy.
Yeah.
Have you had Tony on? Have you had Retro Soul on?
No, I'd love to.
We
Actually,
gotta
yeah,
get
retro. Yeah, I got to get some of
Tony's
you
got
guys.
stories.
I
Tony's
got to
got
get
stories.
inbox me retro. I got to get you on. There's a few I was looking at in this room. There's so many people actually I still need to get to. If you guys are interested in an interview, what would help me is just inbox me because it's a lot of work. I can only have 4 people on a month, so
Salute to you again.
yeah. So after the 200 people, because some people are like, "How come you haven't asked me yet?" And then DJ Neek 10, I wanted on for a while, and like there's so many people I have to. My brain sometimes gets full and I forget. I'm surprised actually Van Stel hasn't made fun of my the ATL hat yet. I'm surprised he hasn't said anything.
Now you're just asking for open season.
I know. I was like, oh shoot, I got to switch the cap, man. He's in the room. I got to switch the cap.
Look at you, hilarious.
Anyways,
all right, well, do me a favor. That would be appreciated. How can I cleanse the palate? Because I'm now living in that Tamar moment, and I'd like to go somewhere else before we wrap up this evening. So
no, I appreciate. No, I mean, like I really do appreciate your honesty with all these stories because most people wouldn't be this honest, right? And I mean, they're good. You're going to have a lot of different stories, right? With you've worked with so many artists in the industry, so
I'm trying to think of a good one to end on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, was there? Yeah, probably. I think I already asked you that earlier on. The most memorable, and you said that there's too many. Actually, Diggable Planets. We talked about that last night when I played
when you were
them.
playing their music. So
you
I
said
don't
remind you of the Diggable Planets story.
So I don't have a story of DJing for them, but I worked for a very long time with an artist who was known as Spearhead in the '90s, and moving forward, Michael Franti and Spearhead. And he was kind of, I guess, EMI and Capitol were loosely associated in the Blowout Comb era of Diggable, and he was putting out I believe his second album, Chocolate Super Highway, at the time. And so they were doing like kind of a promo tour. You really did change the hat. they were they, they were doing a promo tour together. And so because I was working with Michael Franti and I was working with the label at the time, we got to spend time. And all I just wanted to share with you was that they were really soulful people. I mean, at the time, their first album, I think they won a Grammy for, was it Best New Artist, or Rebirth of Slick won a Grammy, something like that. And so they were just really, really humble. And so what I wanted to share with you was you specifically mentioned Ladybug, who I had an amazing obsessive crush on at the time. We lost your mic.
Oh
Where's
shoot.
okay,
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
Sorry. You got it?
So
Yeah.
I just wanted
Ladybug.
to share.
Oh,
I just wanted to share with you that they were just super soulful and super humble and super dope. And then years later, like maybe 10 years ago, DJ Jedi out of LA, he's an amazing DJ. He was their DJ for a while in their band. And they also had Brian Jackson from Gil Scott Heron and Brian Jackson with Gil Scott Heron. He was famous for that. And so they had Brian Jackson in the band. And so basically, I just wanted to co-sign that, run as much Diggable as you want, because they're really, really quality people. And they actually are on a bit of a resurgence right now because they just celebrated the anniversary of Reachin', the first album.
wow. Yeah, Ladybug is amazing. Oh man. That would definitely be a dream. They're my grade 8 cassette tape, like my favorite group in grade 8.
Yeah. I mean, I
Love
guess
them.
if I had to pull one that's coming to my mind to try and make me feel gleeful instead of
Mhm.
that horrible story, I think my most gleeful moment had more to do with a moment in the room.
Mhm.
And that was, it really, all musicians and DJs can pay attention. It helps. It helps greatly to be friends with the front of house engineer at
Hmm.
whatever room that you're in. And
Interesting.
so at the Fillmore in San Francisco, there were two shows. I don't remember exactly how close together they were, but one was for Ice Cube and one was for Snoop Dogg. And what was so dope is I had so much water under the bridge in my relationship with the venue, and it means so much. I mean, I could do a whole lecture on the Fillmore Auditorium in San Francisco, because the origins of it is there was the Fillmore East in New York, and there was the Fillmore West in the 60s. And so jazz and jam bands and Grateful Dead and Santana and Miles and all these acts would come through the Fillmore. So I knew all that history long before I first got to play the room. It's one of the best rooms acoustically. Tony, you'll appreciate they have a top of the line Meyer sound system. It's amazing. And you'll also find that depending where you are positioned, your DJ booth, sometimes you're back off stage and you're in the back where the sound engineer is. Sometimes you're on stage, sometimes you're side stage. It depends where they decide that they want you. But the Fillmore's room is just bumping. And a lot of times when you're an opening DJ for these acts, I don't want to curse again. I'm trying to think of how to say it.
That's okay.
They C block you. They kind of put you
Oh.
on the mixer at the front of house, and they
Mhm.
put a limiter on it so that when the big act comes on, it sounds like, ah, when the concert starts. And any good DJ, just a quick little cliff note, don't be trying to rock star it and throw your faders up and be playing too loud when you're opening anyway. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be
Mhm.
setting a vibe. It's not about let me crank as loud as I can go, which is why they put those limiters on, because bad DJs came before us and they did that. So both at Ice Cube and Snoop, my friend Nate, shout out to Nate, who's still an amazing front of house engineer in the Bay Area. Um, he greeted me when I came to sound check, and he lovingly knew what these gigs meant to me as a DJ. He's someone that I had had a
Mhm.
friendship with for decades at that point. And he was basically giving me, again, I'm going to direct it to Tony because Tony and I talk audio in a stream. He threw me the keys to the dang Lamborghini. He said, here's the Fillmore at its full glory, Meyer sound system. I trust you. Do you? And so I was right in the center of the stage, and I was playing nothing but just Bay and West Coast classics The subwoofers that were under the front of the stage were going, the side fills were going, and the room was just an energy. It was a vibration, and it was like
Nice.
sonically you could feel everything that I was playing, to the
Mhm.
point where I'd be doing a famous record in the Bay like Ain't No Future in Your Front, or trying to think of, I know I did Boys in the Hood. No, I wouldn't have done that at Cube, so that must have been at Snoop's.
Nice.
And so I know, remember, at Ice Cube, right before I knew he was coming on stage, I did two of America's Most Wanted. You know, the one that starts Ain't Nothing But a Gangster Party.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So I was
definitely.
cutting that up hard. I was like,
Wow.
like building up a frothing lather inside of the room. My friend had the whole PA, letting me just have the whole dang thing going. And the room is throbbing at this point. Like
Mhm.
everyone's so excited for Cube or Snoop, whichever one it was that evening. And the trust that they had given in me to be able to know what to do without disrespecting the situation,
Mhm.
top 10 DJ moment for sure. Because I would throw the fader off and they would chant the whole lyric back. And the Fillmore's very small. So if you're on the stage and you're facing the auditorium, there's only two small backstage areas, and they're both here and here on the upper floor and the lower. So the artist, unless they're out front in their tour bus, they're hearing exactly what the heck is going on in the room, right?
Wow, that's
So
amazing.
so when they hear 10 minutes before they're coming on and they're smoking their L's and they're getting ready and they're coming out, the fact of the matter is that literally what was happening was the whole room was just this vibing huge congregation. The bass is cranking, the vibes are there. I'm cutting the fader off. Everyone's in unison, to the point where at one of them, I forget which, they didn't even wait to start the show. They came and mobbed where I was, started getting hype, and the whole show took off from them. And then I helped the guys bring my rig off so that the show could keep going. So yeah, I just wanted to end with a victory, because that Tamar one was a bad one. So yeah, being able to rock your hometown most historic venue, crush it, and have the artist tell you after how much you contributed to the evening. I mean,
That's awesome.
that's a
Yeah,
mic
that
drop,
especially playing West Coast music, like being
Yeah,
where you're from, right?
absolutely.
That's awesome. So you ever had like seen any fights break out or like, you
Oh,
know,
well,
like
uh,
people like stealing any of your DJ gear or anything like that? Or not
no,
really?
but I mean,
You haven't?
I've been in venues where there's been shootings. I've been in
Oh
venues
my
where there's been
gosh.
stabbings. I've been in
Crazy.
venues where there's huge brawls. I mean, when this is what you do, you see all that. I've seen, I don't say this with any kind of, because I'll get angry about it, but I've seen women be accosted. I've
Oh
seen
wow. Yeah.
I've seen horrible stuff.
Mhm.
Luckily, that's not most of the time, but yeah, when you're in these environments, I mean, my New York people can speak way more to it, I'm sure. Absolutely, Keek the Sneak for sure.
Peek the sneak. That yeah, Carol
Absolutely.
Squad. We see that.
Absolutely, for sure. Super hyphy in particular. Yeah. So you see all that, but I mean, I'm saying I would have to believe if we compared war stories between East Coast, specifically New York and the surrounding boroughs,
Mhm.
versus West Coast, I think they probably have way more war stories than I do. I would guess.
Yeah, for sure. And so when you're DJing, because you said, obviously there's a lot of like drinking, well, this whole industry, right? Drinking,
Mhm.
drugs, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Like, do you try to kind of remain like sober when you're DJing or not really? Or you can just be
No,
fine doing all that and DJing and knowing like where everything, like being able to put on a good show?
I
Or
mean,
do you try to leave that out? Like
well,
some DJs do.
I mean, I got it out of my system younger, right? So,
Mhm.
I would partake in certain things in my 20s, and in the last, I don't know, 20 years of my life, I mean, I might have, like, if I was over at your house and you offered
Mhm.
me a glass of red wine, I would absolutely have one.
Mhm.
But I don't really partake in much.
Mhm.
Like when I travel places, like we didn't speak about traveling at all. Like when I've
Yes,
immersed
that was my next question I was
when
gonna ask you
when I've
actually.
immersed myself with traveling, I like to get down how they get down, not in a bad way, but yeah. So what I like, okay, the most recent example, which it stinks, oftentimes when you're offered a drink at a gig
Mhm. Yeah.
and you turn it down, it's taken one of two ways. Either you lost your ish and you're on the wagon because you couldn't handle drinking, you know what I mean? So like you're a sober guy, quote unquote,
Hmm.
or you're being disrespectful. And
Hmm.
there was a running joke that people knew me, like in my immediate circle. I'm not proud of it, but I would go to the venues and I'd be like, just pay me more. I don't need a
Hmm.
bar tab. Give me an extra $150. I ain't gonna drink. I don't want to drink. You know, I
Yeah,
want
for
when
sure.
I'm DJing, I want to be clear headed.
Exactly, because
But
it
that
takes
also,
a lot.
but it also goes to just my lifestyle choice. I mean, there's
Yeah,
plenty of
I'm
DJs who
like
are
that
fit.
too.
Yeah, I'm sure
That's
there's
why we
plenty.
look so young. That's why we look young, I think, a little bit younger.
I need to
This is
handle
why
this.
DJ Funklor well, don't worry, we're all working on that. See, this is look, he's got no wrinkles, guys.
Oh,
He's
stop.
zooming in. This is why he looks so, uh,
Stop.
youthful as well. I'm thinking you're probably around the same age as me, but I'm not gonna
I'll
reveal my
tell you.
age.
I'll tell
Oh.
you. I'm 53.
Oh, wow, really? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, what facial
Don't
cream
zoom
do
in
you use?
again.
What the
Don't
heck?
zoom in
You're
again.
53? What the heck? Here, let's
Yeah.
forget about
Yeah.
zooming me in. Look at guys, he's looking pretty. You don't even have a wrinkle. What the heck?
I yeah, whatever. Let's talk about
You
something
don't.
else. Let's talk
You
about the travel component.
Yes, so I was gonna ask you too. So you guys, DJ Funklor, make sure everyone in the room please add him as well. If you're sitting on his channel, we're on, of course, this channel under DJ Honeyflow, but YouTube, Facebook, everyone that's tuned in, you
Man,
don't need to say that, Cheryl Squad. We don't need to
Shiro be
say
throwing you under the
lies. Oh,
system.
she always throws me under the bus. Her
I
and
know it's out of love, but
the
come on
little
now.
squirrel, they all throw me under the bus. Um, lies. Don't believe her. Don't believe her. We're shedding 10 years off of that. Forget it. I'm not claiming anti status. So you guys, DJ Funklor, make sure you guys are adding him. He's traveled to so many different places. I'm gonna mention them again: New York, Paris, London, the Netherlands, Maui, Las Vegas, Boston, LA, and probably more. Switzerland, I believe, was in there.
Yeah, that
Um,
was a huge one.
yeah, so actually, if you can mention what you did in Switzerland, was that opening up? No, that wasn't opening up for Michael
No.
Franti, right?
No,
No,
well, no,
Switzerland was something different.
but it was with that. I guess just if we were to compartmentalize the traveling part of it, the two stories I'm kind of most proud of was the first was my family was not well to do, my family
Mhm.
was not poor, my family provided. So whatever we call that, you know, I don't know if at the time maybe it was considered middle class, but it wasn't like there was a lot of money flowing through our household.
Mhm.
And so I came up in an area in the Bay Area where a lot of my friends and families came from money or had more money than we. So oftentimes it's summertime, oh, we're going to Europe. Oh, we're going to Mexico. Oh, we're going here. Oh, we're going there. And I was always just kind of a voyeur wanting to go do all that stuff, but didn't have the means to do so. And so I waited a long time before I was able to leave the country. And so one of the ways I was cutting my teeth as a DJ is I was working. I mean, I'm again dating myself, but in the San Francisco Bay Area, much like there was a grunge scene in Seattle, in the mid 90s, there was what's called an acid jazz scene in the Bay Area. So there were acts like Charlie Hunter and Alphabet Soup and the Brown
Nice.
Fellinis and the Mofessionals and a whole squad of music that it was dope because it was bands, like full blown bands with horn sections, sometimes with MCs, sometimes without, but it was about music and
Mhm.
really soulful music at the same time. Candy, I'm so glad you're still here. I was thinking about you. So we would come up and I would DJ sometimes to open these shows and sometimes to be in the ensembles with these bands. So sometimes if they were playing a special venue, they would say, okay, it's the so and so group tonight with special guest, maybe on sax or Josh, myself on the turntables. And so it was this beautiful collective, for lack of a better term. And so that started doing really well. Ties back to the KRS story because one of those bands was the opening band at that same KRS show that I got asked to do. So they viewed their buddy, me, that was doing all these kind of local cool things with them, but then they saw another light of me rocking for an icon to us all. So they were just kind of like, oh, dang. Like, funk can do that too. And
Hmm.
so they had an invitation, I believe it was in 98, I think, to travel in Greece of all places.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice.
at the time, I had a really good paying job. I was the audio visual manager of a Hyatt hotel. So when all the corporate clients would come in and they needed PowerPoint and microphones and all that stuff, I would arrange all that. What was grimy about it is I would be DJing at night until 2, 3, whatever AM. And then I had to be in a three-piece suit at 5 or 6 AM
Oh,
at
wow.
that job. So this was in my mid to later 20s. And so I went just without sleep for a long time during that era.
Hmm.
So the invitation came from one of these groups. Hey, we're putting an all-star acid jazz band together to go play some shows and some festivals in Greece. Do you want to go? So at 27 years old, never being able to leave the country, I was like, it was the most exciting thing to ever happen to me.
For sure. Yeah.
And so I went to my bosses. They were subcontracted, so it wasn't the Hyatt, but it was a company that handled all of it. And I had a stellar record with them. I had like a folder with letters of recommendation on my behalf. Like if if Allstate came in to do a conference, they would often do post letters saying thank you to the catering department and the audiovisual, whatever, whatever. So
Hmm.
I felt very confident to walk in and say, I have this amazing opportunity to do what I love and travel out of the country. Can you please give me the time off? They said no.
Oh, wow.
And I said, not like the Tamar Braxton, but I said, seriously? I said, with everything I've put in, I'm asking this one time to do this amazing thing to help better myself, and you're saying no? It's like, all right, Clint Eastwood, take your job and shove it. I'm going. There was no question that
Really?
I was going to go.
Wow.
And at the time, this was the mid 90s, I was on a salary for like 40K a
Oh,
year, which was
yeah.
a lot of money
That would
then.
have been high in the 90s.
Yeah, it was a lot of, for me at my age, at being 26,
Of
making
course.
40K.
26. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so the DJing, that was like my passion. The bread came from that gig. So to speed through, so I was like, I don't care. And I brought these same turntables, just to let you know how indestructible Technics 1200s are. These are the turntables that went in flight cases that went with me to Greece to do my first international gig. And we were there, we were in Athens, and we were in the second largest, I believe, in Greece, city called Thessaloniki.
Hmm.
And so I'm over there with loved ones. We're about to do what I love to do. At this point, after watching all your friends travel and you never got to now do it on your own back of being a successful DJ and believing in yourself so much to throw the security to the wind and say, I want to go do this. It was amazing. And so when I was over there, one morning, I remember talking to the concierge when we were in Athens, and I was like, I want to go to Mount Olympus. They're like, okay, cool. I'll set up a tour for you. You can come down here at 6 in the morning and we'll take you up to Mount Olympus. I took a nap at the Acropolis. So, like, all these amazing things were taking place through DJing. That's why I wanted to share that part is if you truly follow your passion, see it through big enough and believe in it big enough, you will not you'll be amazed at the places that you end up doing. So that experience in Greece was my first international exposure. I didn't want to come home. It was
Wow.
amazing. The reception to the music, art in particular and music focused, way more appreciated outside of the States. I can't speak to
Hmm.
Canada, but art and quality of life are appreciated on a different level in Europe, and in particular in like the Mediterranean countries like Spain and Italy and Greece. They have the whole pyramid reversed. So
Hmm.
in the States, they want you to basically work and
Yeah.
drop.
Yeah.
Like work and
Same with
drop.
Canada.
Yeah,
Yeah.
work and drop, and the
The
quality of your
Western
life.
world.
Yeah, and the quality of your life is a whatever. When
Yeah.
we were over in Greece, I specifically remember I was looking out of my hotel window in the middle of the afternoon, and it was so beautiful. It was like out of a movie. You could see across to people's apartments, and families were sitting down to full meals at their table at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm all, what's going on? And so I got educated that that's how. So for 3 or 4 hours of every day, they would go to work in the morning. They would shut down for several hours to enjoy their lives, to enjoy their families, and then go back to work for a few more hours and carry on with their day. And that's why I
Mhm.
believe that they were a happier people.
Oh, yeah, for sure,
So
and their food and just quality of life. Yeah, it's so
for sure.
backwards. We live in, like, the richest countries in the world, and that's what it's called, right? Siesta. I was trying to
Yeah,
remember the
Yuta's on
word
it
for it.
again. Yuta's
Yes,
our MVP tonight.
I know. Uta
It's
K
just on
best.
point.
That's why
On
she's the
point.
best. Yeah.
But so to wrap up the travel, so when I was in Greece, I got the itch really bad. I was like,
Mhm,
okay, playing at home is cool. I want to be here and doing this. And so through my work with Michael Franti, I worked with him a lot in his studio, helping with engineering, helping with producing, just doing different things with him. I worked for him for a very long time.
mhm,
He would travel a lot. He was a very successful international artist. And I always wanted to make it down to Australia because he had a very big following there. And I wasn't able to because it takes a lot of money to pay for an extra body to fly down, to be put up, to do all that stuff. And at the time, he said, "Hey, Josh, I want to take you, but it doesn't financially make sense." But there was a time that we had developed in our relationship where he was going on a European tour. And I was at a time in my life where I really wanted to get back over to Europe, and he could sense that. And so I DJ'd for him quite a bit, like tours that we would do in the States. And he was a very big part of my life and a very big mentor to me. And a lot of doors that got opened to DJing came from a lot of those workings with him. And I always am grateful to him for that. And so he knew I wanted to go. So he's like, dude, we're doing this European tour. I want you to come on it. So I was like plotting and scheming. I'm like, all right, if I'm going to get to go over there with him, why don't I go early and see if I can set up enough stuff to live over there for a while? Because I didn't have anything else going on that I had to be home for. So it was
mhm.
like this one window of time in my life. This was in '01, I think. Yeah, I think '01 or '02. Can't recall exactly.
Mhm.
And I was like, all right. So I told him, I was like, okay, where's the tour starting? He's like, we're starting in the UK. I'm like, bet. I'm going to go over to the UK first, get myself set up, find a place where I can stay at, and I'll meet you guys on the tour. And as a big brother would, and as a well seasoned musician who had toured the world several times by then, he's like, you're not going to start in the UK. I'm all, why
Mm.
not? He's like, if you hand them $100, they're going to rip it in half and give you 50.
Oh, yeah, for
And
sure.
so
The
at the
dollars,
time, yeah, so the exchange rate was nuts and
the
not in our,
pounds. Yeah.
yeah, not in our favor. And he was gaming me up. And he knew I think I had maybe 3 or 4 thousand saved to go with. It wasn't like I had a whole lot of money. I wasn't on credit cards. I was cash only. So anyway, to speed through, so he's like, hey, I got a friend in Holland who I'm really tight with. Why don't I reach out to him and see if you can start there? I think that'd be a better place for you to start. So I said, fantastic. That sounds awesome. So next thing I know, I'm booking a flight a month before the tour starts to go to Amsterdam, specific because he lived outside
Mm.
of there. And
Mhm.
he still is, he's a culinary expert, an executive chef, a kickboxing phenom, like just a super stellar dude. And his girl at the time was an amazing singer. So I basically go over there, had never been to Holland in my life. They welcomed me into their home. They started taking me around. And the next thing I know, I'm being asked to play at these venues. I didn't know this at the time, but a lot of people, I don't know if it was in Michael's camp or the people in Holland, but they were like talking me up behind the scenes, like, hey, there's this great experienced DJ from the States. You should put him on, dot, 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 dot. So within that month, I had gotten a bunch of gigs. The most memorable that I would love anybody to experience, on their coastline, they had several beach clubs set up back to back to back to back,
Oh,
and
nice.
every one was themed differently. It was insane. I've never experienced
That would
anything
be
like it.
amazing.
It was so eye
Don't you feel like they live life? They live life, I feel like, in
absolutely,
other countries. We don't.
absolutely,
They do, you
absolutely.
know?
I could
But then
not.
we brag on, like, how much stuff we have, like, material stuff, but then everyone's, like, lonely, like, everyone's,
Real talk.
living to work here, but I feel like it's opposite over there.
You to
Wow.
wise up. I see you both. I love you.
How long were you out there for then? Like
Well,
how long?
so that's what happened. So I then had all that stuff set up to the point where there was literally a question in my brain of maybe I don't go on this tour at all. Maybe the opportunities
Hmm.
that are affording that I'm afforded right now, I should hit the gas and just stay here and do this. But of course, that would be insulting because the whole reason I was there was to do this tour.
Yeah, to do that.
So I had all that stuff set up. And the other really cool thing, I don't mean to go over and embellish, but
No, no, we like your
there
stories.
there was an amazing music festival that
Hmm.
they brought me to prior to the tour. It was called Rock Werchter, and it was a festival in Belgium. And
Wow.
they brought me there. There were turntables backstage. This part of the story is important to tell you. Pre-digital. So Honey Flo and family, your boy was carrying 2 shoulder bags full of vinyl through Europe. Like I
Wow.
left all the outer sleeves, all I took just these. So I would leave the outers at home and I'd fill the whole bag with just the protection for the vinyl and the vinyl itself, and that was it. So you
Hmm.
could fit and stuff that much more. So my friend who I was living with at the time, he literally said, bring your records to the festival. It's like, I'm not bringing my records to the festival. I'm not performing. I'm not doing this. Like, that's not happening. He's like, trust me, bring them. So, next thing I know, I have a whole party going on backstage at this giant festival. There were huge acts there at the time. I don't remember all of them, but I ended up vibing specifically with this band from England called Lamb. They're
Hmm.
really amazing if anyone wants to check them out. They're like trip hop, drum and bass. Like this was, 97, 98. Really cool stuff. Hobbs, welcome back. And so it showed me again, if you break a door open and you truly believe in your skill and the ability and what you've done to get to that place, it's where opportunity and talent merge. And so I was so empowered by the month before the tour that then I went on the tour, which, not to omit your question, that's how I got to the Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland, was on the tour. Same thing. So I have my records with me. I hear through our road manager, yo, Josh, you should go down to such and such. There's a radio station broadcasting, and we told them about you, and they want you to go and get on the radio station and do a
Wow.
set right now, live from the
Amazing.
Montreux Jazz Festival. So I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah,
so these things just kept happening. All these amazing, magical
that's
things just
awesome.
kept
I love
unfolding.
that. Yeah.
And so I ended up staying over in Europe for 8 months.
Hmm.
And the only thing that brought me home was the winter. I was too shook about dealing with the winter in Europe. You're from Toronto. You know what a
Yeah,
harsh
that's
winter
nothing.
is.
That's nothing.
Yeah, but as a Cali boy, born and
Oh, yeah,
raised,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
we go to the snow. We don't live in the snow.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, yo, Rob, what's happening? Huge salute to Rob.
But isn't it beautiful though?
Rob,
Wouldn't it
how
be
did that
beautiful?
brisket come out? Rob, I want to know what's up with the brisket, bro. He was smoking a brisket for like 12 hours or 10
Oh, I
hours.
thought you meant cooking a brisket, like
Yeah.
cooking, like
Rob Bombastic was cooking
not
brisket
cooking
on
that
Sunday.
way, like actually on a barbecue. Okay, well,
He smoked it. I want to know how
we
that
don't.
went.
I don't know all that lingo. I don't know all the
Oh,
lingo, guys. You
really?
guys are
A
gonna have to
brisket
tell me.
a brisket he would serve to us. Sorry, I just got
Briskets
sidetracked.
in Canada mean what is it like? I don't know, meat.
Yeah, that's what it was. We're talking a beef brisket.
Oh
That's not
boy.
slang. Okay, anyway, so to close the travel story, so I was too shook for the winter, and then in tandem with how I got to Paris, when I was living in Holland, I befriended a musician and we became fast friends. And I'm a drummer as well, not professionally, but just for fun because it's one of my instruments. And so I would play music with him and he's like, oh man, he's like, you got to come to Paris and meet my people and come hang out and do all that. And so I was like, say less. I mean, someone says, I've got family, come with me, let's take a train and go to Paris. You're going to go.
Yeah,
What I
yeah.
didn't know was the money vacuum that Paris became. So I had already lived over in Europe for, I don't know, 6.5 months at that time. Paris took all of my last savings. So it was like a convergence of running out of dough and the winter approaching. And I said, okay, I got to eject and come home. But so I could give you a whole show about international stories, but that was probably like my favorite part of my DJing journey, minus the chapters we've spoken of about shows and
Mhm.
stuff. Being able to travel with your art, which hopefully at one day, if you want to do that or whatever your goals are, do it. I
I'm
mean,
definitely thinking about it. A DJ is actually bugging me, not bugging me, but messaging me because she just got booked for Carnival, and I'm like, "Am I too old? Is that a little crazy?" But she's
go.
loving it, like it's life changing for her. She just got booked. She actually auditioned in Atlantic City. Chanel B auditioned, like a bunch of DJs in Atlantic City.
Chanel's the
There was like
truth.
thousands of people in line, and she got picked. And they said that they could work with her because I mean she's got the look, she's beautiful, she's energetic. Like they said that they could train her. So I've been messaging her and I'm
Is there
like, "Oh,
talk of
what's
you
it like?"
going, or are we
Well,
just
no,
sharing her story?
yeah, I'm sharing her story, but
Okay.
she's also messaging me some contacts and she's like, "Why don't you go for it?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." Like cuz they work you. I don't know if you've ever been on a cruise ship, but they really work you like
Yeah,
hard,
but
like 4 times a day, 2 hours, 3 hours like a day, 4 times, right? Every single day, I
man,
think.
I don't want to hear the sob story. You need that. Come on, honey
Yeah.
Flo. You need
Yeah.
to get worked. If you
No,
want
I
to
know.
continue
No.
to climb that ladder, you gotta put
Yeah,
that time
congrats
in.
to her. It was, DJ Mary 808 guys from the Philippines, so that's, like, really
Awesome.
life-changing for her. So I thought, "Oh, that would be so cool if we were on the same boat together." So
Yeah.
she's messaging me, like, the auditions and different things going on, so I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hmm, maybe I
Well, I
will
mean that's
shoot
kind of
my
one of
shot.
my
You never know."
one of my mantras. The reason I wanted to share those parts of the story is because go for it.
Yeah, it's true.
Like I'm
And
a dad.
doors open, right? Doors
I'm
open for
I'm
you.
I'm a dad now. I chose to
Mhm.
have a son with my wife very late or later in my life. I don't regret it at all. I'm a little sad because I'd like to be younger as a father to grow
Mhm.
with my child,
Mhm.
but I made sure I lived my passionate DJ life to the absolute fullest because I
Mhm.
didn't want to have a regret. I didn't want to be like, "Oh, I didn't push on the gas hard enough to make my dream happen."
Yeah.
Uh, and where I sit now, I'm not going to say I'm living in my dream. Money's tight and things are different. And I'm looking to kind of possibly pivot careers a little because I don't have a full time day. Like
Mhm.
DJing's my hustle.
Mhm.
Um, and it gets exhausting after a
Yeah.
while to have that
Yeah.
be your hustle.
Mhm.
But I guess I just want to impart to anyone, if you haven't truly flushed out what you really think you are meant and want to do, please do it. Because as you've mentioned, you said several subjects from your show are no longer on this plane with us.
Mhm.
You don't want to be someone that didn't do that. Stove talks about that all the time. Make
100%.
sure you're living in the present moment and set some goals that you want to do for yourself.
Yeah, and life is real short, so you wanna make sure it's not just the things you do in life, it's, like, also ensuring that you fulfill whatever purpose, like, whatever, God-given purpose He's placed in you.
For
That's
sure.
what I believe, like, to fulfill that before you die, because He's given us each talents to do, right?
For sure.
And it could be even through our shows, it could be DJing, it could be doesn't have to be a massive platform, like, we all have
No.
platforms.
It doesn't have to
Uh
be DJing at all. It doesn't have to be
Exactly.
music at
Yeah, it
all. It
doesn't
could
even have
be
to be in front of people. It could just be, like, treating people kindly. It could be literally just spending time with your family. That's a huge accomplishment, right? Having a
for
family
sure.
like you did, like, that's amazing, Some
Well,
people maybe
I'm
can't have
laughing
families.
now because my son wants to take over my stream. Like no joke.
That's awesome. How old
He's
is he? How
he
old is
just
he?
turned 10. And
Aw, I love that.
a lot of people in the chat know Jordan.
Yeah,
And he's about it. I mean, I'm not trying to mold him. He's doing his own thing, but
I love that.
he's about it. And I'd love for, not on camera, but I could set up something private. I'd love him to meet you.
Yeah, for sure. I'd
He's a
love to meet him.
firecracker.
I
He's
love
dope.
kids. What
You know,
about, is it just 1 kid you have, or do you have
yeah,
2 or
yeah.
few?
No, just one.
And then
Um,
wifey as well, right? Has she
yeah,
ever
me and my wife have been together for
been
21
interested
years.
in DJ?
Say it again.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I said that's an amazing accomplishment. 22 years, you said?
Yeah, give or take 21, 22, something like that. We don't really keep track,
Wow,
you know.
crazy. That's amazing.
Uh,
Has she ever been interested in DJing or not really?
no, actually, her ears will probably start burning. She might even come in.
She's probably already in here if
Well,
she's
no,
a
check
woman.
this out.
We know, we know.
Check check this out. Y'all can relate. I'm having a very hard time explaining what it is I'm doing on Twitch, not only to her, to anyone that's not in it. Hobbs and
Yes.
I have had this conversation. I really want to shout out Wise Up and Yuta and Riz and Hobbs and everyone else that came to support Honeyflow and myself today. Thank you so, so very much. It means a lot. And Hobbs and I talk about that. And it's like, I don't want to say it's some secret club, but it's like
Mm,
now that I'm in it, I see what it's like. And there are a lot of intangibles that you cannot describe to people. I even have a very good brother
yes.
of mine recently. I'm just going to throw it out there. I won't curse, but like, he's not wanting to talk to me now. He's like, why don't you just go
Mhm.
be with your Twitch friends?
Oh, trust me,
I
most
was
of my
like,
friends are like that right now.
I
They
was like,
they
I
don't
was like,
get it.
I was like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah, I know, I know.
We go back together in life 20 years, and you're trying to like feel some kind of way that I'm making inroads in a new community and being
I think
loved
as
and
they see
supported.
you connect with different people, maybe. I don't know what it is, like, but you're gonna realize that it could be one partner, but you have to find a way to make it work. Because one partner is all for Twitch, the other is just not. It starts creating like a rift or a bit of
Really?
conflict. And it's the same thing with friendships too, right? Like not everyone understands, or family, not everyone understands what you're doing. Like I know everyone in my world does not understand like at all this world, right? They just
I'm trying
don't.
to read some of our congregation comments too, because I see
Yeah, and
that Riz is
that can
mentioning
cause
it
a
and
bit of
Wise
a
is mentioning it.
yeah, definitely a bit of a rift for sure. And it could be, yeah, I don't want to use the word jealousy, but
Well, here's the
it
thing,
can be a
right?
little bit because it's like you're putting so much of your effort, so much of your time, but people don't realize that streaming, guys, isn't just turning on the camera, right? I spent like a few hours before this interview trying to figure questions and looking at his bio, researching it, what he does. Like it takes a lot more work than you think being a
And I
streamer.
appreciate you for that
So,
greatly.
but I'm just saying in general, like it takes a lot, and I feel like this Twitch community is special where we all understand it, whether you're a streamer or not. You're here, you get it, you appreciate what the streamer is doing. But I think if you have like a spouse or someone kind of on the outside that doesn't get this world, it's like kind of a fine balance, or else then it could kind of create a bit of a
Yeah,
rift, you
but
know?
check it out though. I am transparent in my relationship. I have no secrets from my wife, and I didn't want to
Mhm.
start now. So I've really been doing the very best job I can to explain it to her.
Mhm.
Um, I wouldn't I wouldn't belittle her to say she doesn't get it, but I
Yeah.
think we haven't really gotten into it enough for her to do it. But what's so funny is then she'll come to me on a different day and say, "How come you're not on social media? We need to build your DJ brand." I'm like, "What do you think I'm doing?"
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's funny. So it's like a work in progress. The funniest thing I could say is recently she was having a conversation with our son, and my son knows some of these people by name. So Jordan knows who Riz is, and Jordan knows who Brainchild is, and he knows who Hobbs is, and Stove, etc. And so I wasn't there, but apparently they were having a conversation, and my son's name checking all these beautiful people, and my wife's like, I don't know, who are these women that you're talking to? Who are
Uh-oh.
these people
Uh-oh.
that you're talking to? But from a mother perspective, I got it. And I said, hey, I would feel a way too if I had Jordan talking to me about all these people that I didn't know. So I immediately had a conversation with her and said, hey, whatever you want to know, I'll tell you. You know what I mean? It was like, it was a moment where I realized I wanted to really share what it was I was trying to accomplish and not leave her in the dark with it, you
Yeah,
know?
and sometimes I think we can be guilty as streamers being overconsumed, especially if you're doing it full time, like overconsumed working on content. Like I'm single, so it's different for me. I could come and go as I please, but I also know that I'm sure some of my friends feel a certain way because we've had conversations of them being like, "Hey, like what's up? Like this is all you do and talk about." Like, you know what I mean? So you kind of got to find a balance for
Right.
people and the real world as well, you know? So but you're still new, you're fairly new to this. I'm
I'm
sure you'll
very
figure
new.
it out.
I still
Just
got
in
I still got the U-Haul truck
yeah,
backing up. That's how
exactly.
new I
But
am to
just
the
ensure
neighborhood.
she's included, ensure she's included, ensure you know, I don't know if you guys do after 20 something years date nights, like, you know, but as a family, that's important, like to just make that time, right?
Speak
Uh,
that.
for your son and
Speak
your
that.
wifey,
Speak that. I would, truth be told, I'd like to put as much time into that as I do on Twitch.
but
You
you can still do that though. It's never too late, right? You got to keep
Yeah,
that.
you just gotta have
You got to
trust in
keep
people.
the
Oh,
flame going too. You got to
no,
keep that spark
hold up.
going
I'm
in
not talking
aisle
about that.
2.
We can go to aisle 2 talk. I'm talking about I don't trust a lot of people around my son, and
Oh, okay.
my
No, I
wife
get
is the
that.
same.
He's 10
So
years old, so I get
so in
that.
order for us to like really do what we want to be doing and going out and living these lives, I got to make sure I got someone proper to be with my son.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I agree. I think it's
I
just
love the
finding
co-host.
balance. And in these worlds, we don't always have the greatest balance. I know I don't. So, especially when you're working hard at something. So,
Read what Hobbs said. That cracks me up.
which
I
one
don't know
here?
how that would work. We'll have to figure it out.
How
She's
do
shy.
you know she's not? How do you know wifey's not in here?
You
She
want to
could
know
be
how I know?
under Rob Boombastic's name for all you guys
You
know.
know how I
She
know?
could be under Mrs. Riz's name.
Nah,
I
nah.
would do that. If I were a wifey, I would do it.
You sound sneaky, Honey
Go
Flo.
under DJ Vance Dell's name.
You sound
I
like
don't
you need to be sneaky. The only reason my relationship is
No, I'm not
successful is because I
sneaky.
don't have to sneak.
I'm far
I-
from sneaky, but I am a good investigator.
A
I'm not
detective.
gonna lie.
Okay, there we go.
I am a
An
little bit.
investigator.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
that's not a good thing to have to
I don't
do.
want to take too much more of your time. If anyone wants to ask something, or if you want to put a little bow on our conversation, I'll keep
Yes.
talking until you tell me not to.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's been almost 3 hours. Okay, if you guys have any last minute questions, drop them in the chat. I know he's been with us for a while. It's been an amazing conversation. There's 2 questions I always ask at the end. I'm sure you've
Yeah,
seen.
I
You
haven't.
know,
I'm
you
ready.
okay, you've done like a lot like in your DJ career, music career. Is there anything left that you would say, oh my gosh, this would be like the ultimate thing to do as a DJ, like an arena or playing in the White House or just anything.
No, you're
Anything
gonna
that comes to
laugh.
mind?
You might laugh.
Mhm.
To be DJing with all these people that you're seeing in the chat, to be
Aw, I
in
like that.
physical person, celebrating all this music in person, the way they already have been. I mean, these meetups have been happening. I spoke to Rich Gifted Hands before he went out. He was not going to go to OMU this year, and he did. And I talked to him right before, and I texted him while he was there, and he's like, "Bro, you need to be here." Um, the reason why I say that is because, as far as accomplishments,
Mhm.
I feel like, how do I summarize this? If you would have told me, we talked about my origins. If you would have told a young Josh at 16 years old on my high school radio station, you see these artists on these records on the shelf, one day you're going to be peers amongst them and DJing and sharing experiences and providing environments for them at their concerts. And you're going to be performing in all of the venues that you would go to. Because one thing I didn't share with you is myself, Justin J. Valencia, we would go to concerts every week or
Mhm.
every month. The Bay Area was vibrant for concerts. So I recently put together a scrapbook of all my ticket stubs that I could
Oh,
find
cool.
to show Jordan. And that's another thing that I was going to share with you today, is that because of my age and those in my age group, you're realizing that people want these stories because they're never going to get to see these acts. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, it's all in the rear view. Like
Mhm.
right now when I'm looking to take my son to concerts, it's like there's only so many legacy acts left to take him to. So what I'm saying is, as far as the accomplishments that I could have continue to make with that, I'd obviously like to find some more success on Twitch. But what I mean by that is to be with the people who I'm spending time with on Twitch, and to just commune more, to travel to these places, and if not get booked, to do the gigs like Chanel does so well,
Mhm.
and LV does so well. I'm not going to start name dropping, but a lot of DJs on here are able to be paid to be flown out and perform in these different cities. I'd love to expand that. A callback to one
Mhm.
of your recent interviews, Christos with 45 Day in England. Like, Jordan did his first stream on his raid train where it was
Oh,
father and
nice.
son doing it.
Yeah.
I would have never met him and his whole squad, Shoestring Sound and Fat
He's
Wax
amazing. He's
and Josie
amazing.
Styles, and like all these beautiful people, and all the
Mhm.
people I'm meeting here that are just popping up in the chat. It's like that would be beautiful to me because I could throw a few more artists on there, but it wouldn't mean the same.
Yeah, I
Being able to
love that.
commute.
You're the first person to answer that question that way. I
It's
like
true.
it. I like it.
I
You
want
should go
life.
to
I
the
want life to slow down so I can go to these places.
It's so true. You
Like
should go to the
Utah's in Denver. We got to go back to Red Rocks. Red
Oh,
Rocks
I
is the
didn't know she
spot.
was in Denver. Wow.
I don't want
We
to be
should
putting people on blast. I'll let her speak for
yeah.
herself.
I was gonna say you should go to the Bay Area meetup with Cynthia Fong and like
Is that the one
all
on
of
the
them.
11th?
Alex Mejia.
Is
I
that the
think
one
so.
coming up?
I thought it was like the 4th or the 8th or something like that.
You know
Yes,
what's
like it's the
weird
big
about
Bay
that?
Area. Yeah.
Well, so what's weird about that is you and I mentioned offline about a bit of clickiness. So
Oh yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to air it out right now, but
Okay.
I don't know if that's the same one because One and Only B and High Note and Audio One, they're doing a meetup in the middle of August as well that I don't think is
No,
intersecting
I
with
think
it.
it's a different one. I
Right.
think that one like Mo one, I think
But the Bay is
Cynthia
so
Fong.
dang but the Bay is so dang small for them to
Maybe
not
they didn't realize. Maybe they didn't realize that because I
I'm
know
sure.
yeah, I don't know. Cynthia Fong's organizing with a bunch of the
Cynthia's
DJs
dope.
that
Cynthia's
do,
super dope.
what is it? The Vibe, Vibe It Out crew on Fridays. It's
I'm
a
not
bunch of
pretending to know
Bay
everybody.
Area guys. Do you know Alex Mejia too? Because he did
He
radio
was a
too out
legend
Yes,
coming
out
up.
there.
I only know him
You
kind
guys
of
would
from
be great
afar.
to link up together, I think, because you're a cool
He's
guy, he's a
he's a
cool
Jedi.
guy.
He's a
He's a
Jedi.
huge humanitarian. He's done a lot, like you've done a lot. I feel like you guys have really cool, interesting, even artist stories. Like
I
he'd be a great
appreciate it.
guy
I
to
appreciate that.
maybe I'll try to if I can. I don't know if you guys have ever crossed paths, but
Yeah. No, no,
I'd love to connect you guys if
he's homies with Malachi, who we've spoken of.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
so yeah, I mean, we've been in chats and I'm always paying respect, but we don't know each other in real life so much.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
I mean, he was on the biggest urban radio station that we had here in the Bay Area. So
Mhm.
he's a legend, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he definitely is. He'd be a good guy. DT Jams, like there's a bunch of guys from the Bay Area. I'm trying to think. Audio One, he's
Audio One
a
is the
really
man
awesome guy too with his story.
for sure.
So
And
yeah,
he and High Note have been really big.
high note. Yeah.
They've been real big wind in my sails. I mean, I spoke to High Note in his stream the other night. One and Only B came through earlier, which was it made me very happy. When he was pushing for partner, I enjoy his community so much. I was really doing the little that I could because I didn't have a
Mm.
huge audience, but I was trying to go in rooms and try and encourage raids to go his way.
Mhm.
Um, and so I have nothing but positive things to say about that squad. They're
Yeah,
awesome.
he's a great guy. Mo One would be a great guy to link with too. He's a
Yeah.
very sweet guy as well. So I'm just trying to think because I'm not like super. I got closer, between all of us with Steph One Love, right? Because
Yeah.
she was a mod, and she ended up passing away. She was a mod for me, mod for Mo One, mod for DT, like all these guys. So just connecting with them a little bit more was extra special.
Yeah.
But I know the West Coast, you guys got your own cool kind of vibe going on, like lots of support for the
It's
West
different
Coast.
now. It's
Yeah,
different now. It's
yeah.
different now. A lot of my people have left.
Mhm.
We won't get into a whole nother sermon, but
Yeah.
economics and tech and all these other things have really changed the landscape of the Bay Area extremely.
Hmm.
So it's not what it was. I'll put it like that. I'm more
Yeah, for
connected to
sure.
people on Twitch than in real life there, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think I have been too with the pandemic. Well, we all have with the pandemic too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'll leave you with the last question, and I thank you for being 3 hours with me.
I
Wow.
love it. I
It's
love
been
it. I've been
amazing.
having a blast.
Yeah, and I hope you guys learned a lot more about DJ, Funklor. Make sure you guys are adding him if you haven't added him. Dope person, great streamer, DJ, and person inside out, which I absolutely love hearing a lot of his honest stories too. So the last question I'm going to leave you with, I always ask. I'm always curious to see what people's thoughts are. It's
Uh-oh.
kind of a deep question.
Uh-oh.
It's definitely become a little bit more deeper for me. So, if you had like say 6 months to live,
Oh shit,
what would
really?
be, yeah, this is a deep question. What
Okay.
would be, I almost got emotional earlier, but like what would be on your life bucket list? What would you want to do? What would that look like to you? It
More
may not
time
Yeah.
more time with my son.
Hmm. Love
I
that.
mean, I can't speak enough about the joy that fatherhood has brought me. And just because he's a great kid, if he was not, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure shades of children are all different, but I love our connection, and I love that he is like myself in that he's very open and he's very genuine and he's very loving and he's soulful and he loves music like I love music.
Hmm.
So yeah, more time with my wife and son, I think, or nature. I mean, we didn't like. I was prepared for you to ask earlier, like what were some of my early inspirations musically, and I would spend as much time as possible when I was coming up in nature. I'm a
Hmm.
nature person. I need to be in the quiet of nature. So whether it's by the ocean or by a forest or in a mountain, that's my happy place. So probably being like if it was truly like you have this horrible diagnosis, we're giving you 6 months, you'd probably find me taking my family into nature somewhere to live that way as much as I possibly could.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, definitely a great answer. Good answer. I've heard some pretty interesting answers, but I like that. I think you're
That's
the
a heavy
person
one.
by nature.
That's a heavy one.
It is. It is. But it also makes you think about life, and it makes you kind of think maybe it's not, because some people think it's not achievable. That's why I like asking that question to people, because most people say travel. They would love to travel, right?
See, I
But
did
like,
that one.
yeah, exactly. You did that one. But I'm saying that like it's actually a lot more achievable than we think, right? So even you spending time with your family now, that's achievable, right? In this moment. So it just kind of gives people to think about things. We don't need a whole lot of money and a whole lot of material stuff and a whole lot of big stages to make like life happy and to make these moments count, right? We
Yeah,
just
I
need
mean,
to be present
so
with people.
two people in the chat that are consistently in my stream are Justin Johnson and Jay Valencia, and we talk about that all the time. And right now, Justin Johnson has been a very accomplished DJ as much as I have been. He's had a career as long as I have, and he's now getting back after it, like in a real big way.
Hmm.
He's more electronic leaning as a DJ, so he plays. There's so many genres under that umbrella. I would never call it EDM, but just different forms under that. And so this right now during the summer, he's going out to all of these different festivals and getting after it. And again, he's so well ready for it that whether there's huge amounts of money at the end of them, which there's usually not, he's living his best life, doing
Hmm.
what he loves. And when he comes back from the trips and we talk, it's like, what more would you want to be doing? You're playing music with and for people and making everyone happy with music. I mean, come on.
And when you do what you love, it's like more doors just start opening up, like the stories.
Look at me speaking with you today. This happened magically and with help. I mean,
Mhm.
if it wasn't for Stove and Mal and the people who have really blew wind in my sail and helped encourage my Twitch journey, Justin Johnson was actually the first one to kick me in the butt and say, come do this. Yeah. So it's the doors keep opening.
Yeah, and keep continuing, like more doors are gonna open for you as well. You just started. So I'm excited to see that journey, like especially online with you.
I
S-
appreciate it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining. I was gonna ask, because I usually leave it up to the guest. Is there anyone you would like to raid into? I don't know if you can see.
No, I'll take a look right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I hope my man Brainchild is on. Oh, Stove is on. Oh, we're going to
Oh, is
Stove
he?
then. That's an
Okay, let me
automatic.
see.
Well, let me
Yes.
see though, because he's on a raid right now. I want to make sure he's not going to wrap up.
Oh, yeah, in a few minutes. He's got
Yeah,
a
let me
full
just
room
check
guaranteed.
super quick if you don't mind.
Okay, no problem. Thank you guys. While he's checking, I just want to say thank you guys for all the support, the hype train earlier,
Yeah,
everyone that
he
supported.
he's about to raid out. Let me just
Oh, he
check.
is? Ah,
Yeah, because he's on a
okay.
raid. He's on a Raiders of the Lost Art or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I hope Brain is still on. Oh, well now I gotta choose. G Class and Brain are on. Let me see how much in the Red Cup G is because he helped me get my text sorted for today.
G
Uh,
class would be a great interview too. I can't
yeah,
remember if I
we
asked him or
talked
not.
about that. Let's go see
Yeah.
G. I would really like to send us over
Okay.
to
If
G
he's ever
class.
interested, let me know too. I
Oh,
thought I
he's
asked him.
interested.
I don't remember. Oh, okay.
Can we go see him?
Yeah, no,
Do you
he's
want me to
great. I
drop a
haven't seen him
link?
in a while. I'm trying to see if I could let's see here. I'm actually in his channel. I find it easier, like typing raid, and when you
Do
go
your
in
thing.
someone's channel, it comes up.
Please do
Um,
your thing.
because I'm not a very good mod. So what I do is I go in their channel, I try to type it because their name pops up, and then I go back to my channel to raid. But a few times I accidentally put raid in their channel, if that makes sense to
I
you
guess what
guys.
I'm asking is, can you get us there, or do I have to do something?
Oh no, that's okay. I'll get you. I'll get you
Okay.
guys there.
All right.
All right.
Before we go, I want to thank
Mhm.
you so very much. Genuinely, you know that from our convo earlier offline. Anything you need that I can help you with, let me know. A huge thank you to Hobbs and Yuta and Riz and everyone that came through. Wise Up, I'm looking forward to you coming back. She's on a bit. Tony, man, Tony's one of the busiest men on Twitch. So for you to give us your time, Tony, I was really hoping that you would get a well-rounded picture of me for when we speak next. So thank you. Everyone, please follow everyone. Tony, reach out to Honeyflow so we can get your story.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely message me, you
Rich,
guys.
you as well, bro. Rich Gifted Hands as well, please.
If you're interested in an interview, definitely message me. All right, we're going to start this raid. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming on. It was awesome. We'll definitely be in touch. And
For sure.
just for the convo earlier, I really did appreciate it too
Let
so
me
much.
know. You better take me up on
No,
it.
I will. I will definitely let you know. I'll take you up
Okay.
on your offer for sure.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna raid into G class, you guys. Stick around. Actually, if you want to copy my emotes or my raid out message, I don't know how to put raid in there, so just drop raid in there and copy my message and post
We
in
got
the chat
experienced
with the
streamers. They know how
beast.
to do it.
Yeah, I'm not very good at some of this stuff, guys. But Wise Up, I see you, Ms. Rez, the whole show. You guys have been here, guy. Thank you so much. Retro Soul, Rich Gifted Hands, Uta K Best. Took me forever to figure out her name. Hobbs. Let's see here.
Oh,
I
special shout
forget.
out to Hobbs. She's really been holding me down. We had a joke that I asked her to be a mod at the offset of my journey, and she's like, "You don't know me like that." And now
Yeah,
she's
that's so
telling me
funny.
she's telling me she needs more commands.
Oh man,
So
Rob Boombastic.
yeah, and huge
Thank
shout
you for
out to
coming.
Lisa the X as well. She's been
Yes,
holding
Lisa
me
the
down
X.
too.
She's been here the whole time. Rich Gifted Hands. I know I'm missing some people here. Just trying to go through all your names, but thank you guys so much for all
Let's get to
coming
G.
through.
Let's get to G before he raids out. I
Yeah,
want to
I know.
make sure we get
Oh,
over there.
the raid is it's in the process
Oh, okay,
of
cool.
doing it. Yeah.
Yuta, thank
Let's
you.
see.
Yuta, you were poignantly on point tonight. Thank you so much for saying things in a much more succinct way than I could.
Derek T, Junior, and DJ Neek 10, DJ Candy. B, I gotta check you as well. I just
Oh,
added you on
Candy's a
Instagram. I
problem.
haven't seen her.
She's
Oh, okay,
great.
there we go. I think it just right. Yeah, I haven't actually. It's weird. I've been following her for a while, but I've never seen her on.
Yeah,
So I gotta look out for her.
you and I will have a talk. There's a bunch of amazing people that when I shared that I was going to be with you,
Hmm.
they were very excited, both for me and for you.
Hmm.
And so I don't want to push people at you who are not great subjects and worthy people. And truthfully, a lot of them are women.
Yeah,
So,
I would love.
you
I want to
know,
get more women on. Like I've always showcased more women, and I always get like very excited when I see more DJ,
great,
especially the DJs. I
great.
fangirl inside. I'm a little nerdy that way, but I
I
was like,
love
oh,
it.
cool. I'm like DJ Candy B. That's amazing.
Yeah.
She's like a female DJ.
So check this out. I met
Yeah.
her through G Class.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah,
Oh, I
G
don't know why I
Class.
haven't seen her on.
Well, I think she's. I mean, I know she's newer. I don't know exactly when she started. She's so talented. She has a beautiful vibe. She does an R&B stream on Thursday nights, and then she does a stream on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Um,
look out for her.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I want to tell you though, she's on a bit of a hiatus.
Hmm.
She got a surgery recently on her shoulder.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know the
Yeah.
whole details of it, but we spoke briefly. So I don't know. I'll ask when she's going to be up and running again. But I definitely would love you to speak with her. G was
Yeah,
very
it'd be great.
excited to speak with you. Have you had Riz?
I know I haven't had Riz on yet.
G
I
would
I
be
gotta get
great.
her on as well. Yeah, she
She
would
would be
definitely be
great.
good.
And have you had
Um,
Yuta?
No, I haven't had them. I haven't gone
Yeah.
to it's so many people. I literally have not, even though it's been a lot of people I've interviewed, I could only do 4 because I go
Yeah,
one by one like this, right? A
for
month.
sure.
So I'm booked like 2, 3 months in advance. Like it's just like boom, boom, boom. But I actually want to try to actually I'll talk to you off record as well. Maybe I have a few ideas. I'm gonna see. Yeah, I'll talk to you
Well,
off
well,
record.
here's what I'll leave you with. I
Yeah.
genuinely mean whatever I can help. You having me today, even immediately, what it helped is it helped bring my journey into focus. It made me feel very loved and supported by you, the way everyone that you saw show up today. Everyone's been doing that. And so I have to believe that if I'm, because I teach my son to lead with love. So
Hmm.
if these great things are happening because I'm putting that out and people like yourself are reciprocating that back, it makes me feel very successful about that. And I want to do the same for you in whatever way that I can. So whether that's helping with DJ stuff or helping to promote you in whatever small way I can, it's not lip service. If you hit me up, I will let you know for sure. And I can tell that you're pushing the rock up the hill. So
Hmm.
that's why if there are people that you know that you would like that I'm at all connected to, I'll make them come to you instead of
Hmm.
you having to do all the planning and communicating and all that stuff. Like, let's make it easy because you're already doing so much. You shouldn't have to do more. It should be if they want the opportunity to be in your ecosystem and meet your people and have the forum that you're providing, I know that they'll come to meet you. I don't think you'll
Yeah.
have to do that heavy lifting part. So maybe
No,
when you
I
know that,
appreciate that. Have
yeah,
a few ideas. I'll definitely won't mention them, but I'll
yeah,
mention them off record to you for
yeah,
sure.
no problem. And
Um,
then one thing that would be great, I really do have great regret that I cursed.
oh, no, it's
Is
okay.
that
I think we're
but is it
still alive. No, they're just messing with me. I'm okay. I want people to be themselves,
but
eh?
no,
Like,
but
I
I'm
don't
saying
want people to be like,
will it,
"Oh, they gotta change their behavior around Honey Flow." Like,
no,
it's
I don't mean
okay.
that.
Fuck that.
I'm saying will it prevent it from being published?
I don't know. Maybe on maybe well, I know I talked to Full Blast and because he used to do shows and he's like, "Don't worry, on YouTube you'll be good because you never curse." That's what he tells me.
Okay.
But with him, he says he does a lot, so his shows would always get banned on
Okay.
YouTube. So I
Okay.
don't know. We'll see. That'll be a test run to see if it gets banned or not.
I hope not,
And on
because
Facebook,
I wanted my family to check it out. So
like they could still check it out on Twitch. That's fine.
okay.
I don't think it will, but yeah, I just want people to be themselves. I don't want them feeling like any
You
way around
definitely,
me,
it
right?
wasn't even that you coaxed that story up, but when it brought me back to that moment. But anyway, I
Mhm.
want you to be able to wrap up. I know it's late on your side of the world.
Yeah,
I
for
really
sure.
genuinely appreciate you. Thank you for
Yeah,
walking
I
me
do
through the
too. I
steps.
appreciate your just your on like very, very honest. I love that and your bluntness. Like and you can be a bit not fiery, but I like how you like I don't know. I just feel like you stand like if there's something that is either right or wrong, like you stand for it.
For
And
sure.
I
For sure.
appreciate that. That I'm like, man, I can learn from you. I gotta work on some of
Awesome.
those things.
Well,
Yeah.
I think yeah, you have my number because we were texting earlier. Feel
Yes.
free to hit
Yeah.
me there or email. I'm not on Insta. I need to get on Insta. You taught me that that was a great way to communicate that
No,
I
it
wasn't
is. Yeah.
familiar with.
Yeah.
So I'll get caught up to speed. But if you want to reach me sooner, the best is phone or a whisper on Twitch or an email. Anything you
Okay,
want.
and let me know also, I should have, mentioned when you were on when you're on, if there's anything I
They
can
all
do.
do. They
Yeah,
all
like I
do.
could do a pop-up and just raid in or whatever, bring my community, like whatever I can do
I want to
to
do that
help
more to
you.
you. I want to do
Yeah,
that more to
I
you.
can do that as well with you too, you know?
I'm
So,
Mondays only right now. I do raid
okay.
trains and stuff, but my regular is Monday, 5 o'clock West Coast, 8 o'clock East Coast,
Okay, awesome.
and I
Thank you
usually
so
do 2 to 3 hours.
I just noticed V Kirk and Jangus just subbed and V Kirk the bits. Thank you. Appreciate that. They're probably gone, but
All right.
if I
Well,
missed it.
big love
All
to
right.
you. Thank you very,
Yes.
very much. I
Too. Okay.
appreciate it.
Okay, have a great night. We'll
Okay,
be
what
in
do I do
touch.
here? Just say leave
Oh,
studio?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care. Have a good
Bye.
night. Bye. See you guys in the other room.